Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. My name is Anna, and I am so happy you are here with us today. This podcast is made for beginner English learners, and every episode is simple, friendly, and very useful. Today, we have a really important and timely topic. We are going to talk about how to stay safe in hot weather. Hot weather can be wonderful, but it can also be dangerous if you are not careful. Knowing what to do and what not to do in extreme heat can protect your health and even save your life. I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Mark.
Hello. Thank you, Anna. Hi to all our wonderful listeners. How do I feel about hot weather? I love warm, sunny days, but I have learned to respect extreme heat. Hot weather can become dangerous very quickly, and many people, including healthy young people, underestimate the risks. Today, Anna and I are going to cover everything you need to know about staying safe when temperatures are high. What to drink, what to wear, what to avoid, how to recognize heat-related illness, and so much more. We will also give you lots of useful English vocabulary and phrases. By the end of this episode, you will be well prepared for hot weather. Let's begin.
Let's start with some important hot weather vocabulary. A heat wave is a period of several days when temperatures are much higher than normal. The temperature is how hot or cold something is, measured in degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit. The UV index tells you how strong the sun's radiation is. A higher number means more risk of sunburn. Humidity is the amount of moisture in the air. High humidity makes hot weather feel even hotter and more uncomfortable. It is sweltering means it is extremely hot. It is scorching also means very hot. The sun is beating down means the sun is very strong and direct.
More important hot weather vocabulary. Sunburn is when the sun's UV rays damage your skin, making it red and painful. Dehydration is when your body does not have enough water. Sunscreen or sun cream is a lotion you apply to your skin to protect it from UV rays. SPF, sun protection factor, tells you how strong the sunscreen is. SPF 50 gives much more protection than SPF 15. Shade means an area not in direct sunlight, protected by trees, buildings, or umbrellas. Ventilation means the flow of fresh air into a building or space, important to keep rooms cool. A fan is a device that moves air to create a cooling breeze.
Now let's talk about the most important hot weather safety rule. Stay hydrated. Hydration means having enough water in your body. When it is hot, your body sweats to cool itself down. Sweating means you lose water rapidly. If you do not replace that water by drinking enough fluids, you become dehydrated. Dehydration causes headaches, dizziness, tiredness, and confusion, and in serious cases, it can be life-threatening. Health experts recommend drinking at least 2 liters of water per day in normal conditions, but during a heat wave, you may need 3 liters or more. In English, useful hydration phrases: drink plenty of water, stay hydrated, keep your fluid levels up. Have you had enough water today? Mark, what are...
Water is the absolute best drink for hydration. Plain, still water. It is free, contains no sugar, and is exactly what your body needs. In very hot weather, you also lose important minerals called electrolytes through sweat, especially sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Sports drinks or electrolyte drinks can help replace these. Coconut water is a natural and delicious source of electrolytes. Diluted fruit juice is also good. Cold herbal teas can be very refreshing. What should you avoid? Alcohol is a diuretic. It actually makes you urinate more and can worsen dehydration. Caffeine in large amounts can also contribute to dehydration. And sugary sodas or fizzy drinks do not hydrate as effectively as water.
Keep a bottle with you at all times. Such simple but vital advice. Now let's talk about sunscreen, because protecting your skin from the sun is one of the most important things you can do in hot weather. Sunscreen protects your skin from UV rays, the invisible radiation from the sun that can cause sunburn, premature aging, and skin cancer with repeated exposure. UV rays are present even on cloudy days, which many people do not realize. Always use sunscreen with at least SPF 30, ideally SPF 50, especially on your face, neck, and any exposed skin. Apply it at least 15 to 20 minutes before going outside.
Great topic. People forget many things about sunscreen. First, the back of your neck and ears are very commonly missed and can burn badly. Do not forget them. Second, lips need protection too. Use a lip balm with SPF. Third, even water-resistant sunscreen needs to be reapplied after swimming because no sunscreen is truly waterproof. Fourth, check the expiry date on your sunscreen. Expired sunscreen does not work as effectively. Fifth, do not rely on sunscreen alone. It is one layer of protection, not total protection. Combine it with protective clothing, shade, and avoiding the strongest sun. Sixth, if you have young children, their skin is especially sensitive and burns faster than adult skin.
Such important reminders about sunscreen. Now, let's talk about what to wear in hot weather, because the right clothing makes a significant difference to how your body manages heat. In very hot weather, wear loose-fitting, lightweight clothing that allows air to circulate around your body. Tight clothing traps heat. Choose light-colored clothes, white, pale yellow, light blue, rather than dark colors. Dark colors absorb more heat from the sun, while light colors reflect it. Natural fabrics like cotton and linen are much better than synthetic fabrics in heat. They breathe better and feel more comfortable. A wide-brimmed hat is very important for protecting your head, face, and neck from direct sunlight.
People make several common clothing mistakes in hot weather. First, wearing dark, tight, or heavy synthetic clothing. This traps heat and makes you feel much hotter than necessary. Second, not wearing a hat. The top of your head gets very hot in direct sunshine, which raises your overall body temperature quickly. Third, not wearing sunglasses. UV rays can damage your eyes over time, causing serious conditions, including cataracts. Look for sunglasses that block 100% of UV rays. Fourth, wearing too little clothing thinking it will be cooler. Sometimes a loose, long-sleeved light cotton shirt actually keeps you cooler than no shirt at all, because it protects you from direct sun while still allowing air to circulate.
A loose, long-sleeved shirt can be cooler than no shirt at all. That is such a surprising but true fact. Now let's talk about timing, when to be outside and when to stay inside. The sun is at its strongest and most dangerous between roughly 11 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. This is called peak sun hours, or the hottest part of the day. During this time, UV rays are at their most intense. The temperature is usually at its highest, and the risk of sunburn, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke is greatest. Health experts recommend avoiding outdoor activity during these hours on very hot days.
Adjusting my schedule during a heat wave is essential. I try to do any outdoor activity, exercising, shopping, gardening, before 10 in the morning or after 5 in the evening when the sun is lower and less intense. During the hottest middle part of the day, I stay inside in a cool, ventilated space. Many cultures in hot countries have traditionally practiced a midday rest, called a siesta in Spanish-speaking cultures, and this wisdom makes complete sense from a health perspective. If you need to go outside during peak hours, use as much protection as possible. Hat, sunglasses, light clothing, sunscreen, and carry cold water.
The siesta tradition makes complete scientific sense. Now let's talk about keeping your home cool during hot weather, because a hot home is genuinely dangerous, especially for older people and young children. Some key strategies for cooling your home. First, close curtains, blinds, and shutters during the day. This blocks the sun's heat from entering through windows. Surprisingly, keeping windows closed during the hottest part of the day, when outside air is hotter than inside, also helps keep cool air in. Then, in the evening, when outside temperatures drop, open windows to allow the cooler night air in. This is called cross-ventilation. Mark, what other strategies help keep a home cool during a heat wave?
More great home cooling strategies. Use electric fans strategically. Placing a fan near a window at night draws cooler air in. A bowl of ice in front of a fan creates a very effective and cheap air cooling effect. Avoid using your oven or hob. Cooking creates heat inside your home. Eat cold meals or cook very briefly when temperatures are lower. Turn off unnecessary electrical appliances and lights. These generate heat even when on standby. On very hot days, wet a cloth with cold water and place it on your neck, wrists, or forehead. These are pulse points where blood vessels are close to the skin, and cooling them quickly lowers your body temperature.
Ice in front of a fan, such a clever and inexpensive solution. Now let's talk about heat exhaustion, because this is a real medical condition that many people experience during hot weather. Heat exhaustion happens when your body overheats, usually from being in the sun too long or doing too much physical activity in hot conditions. Symptoms, signs that you have heat exhaustion, include heavy sweating, pale or cool skin, feeling very tired or weak, dizziness or feeling faint, nausea, feeling like you want to vomit, headache, and muscle cramps, painful tightness in your muscles. If you or someone near you experiences these symptoms, it is important to act quickly.
If someone shows signs of heat exhaustion, act immediately. First, move them to a cool place, indoors with air conditioning or at least into the shade. Second, help them lie down and raise their legs slightly. This helps blood flow back to the brain and reduces the risk of fainting. Third, remove any unnecessary clothing to help their body cool down. Fourth, give them cool water to drink slowly if they are conscious and able to swallow. Fifth, cool their skin by spraying or sponging with cool, not ice-cold, water and fan them. Sixth, apply cold, wet cloths to their forehead, neck, and wrists.
Act immediately and call emergency services if needed. Absolutely essential advice. Now let's talk about heat stroke, which is much more serious than heat exhaustion and is a genuine medical emergency. Heat stroke happens when the body temperature rises to a very dangerous level, above 40 degrees Celsius, and the body can no longer cool itself down. Without immediate treatment, heat stroke can cause permanent damage to the brain, kidneys, and other organs, and can be fatal, which means it can cause death. Signs of heat stroke include very high body temperature, confusion or strange behavior, not sweating despite the heat, red and hot skin, rapid heartbeat, and loss of consciousness.
Heat stroke is a life-threatening emergency. Call the emergency number immediately and do not wait. While waiting for help to arrive, here is what to do. Move the person to the coolest available place, indoors or shade. Remove outer clothing. Cool them as rapidly as possible. Apply ice packs to their neck, armpits, and groin area where large blood vessels are close to the surface. If ice packs are not available, wrap them in wet sheets and fan them. Do not give them water to drink if they are confused or unconscious. They could choke. Put them in the recovery position if they are unconscious but breathing on their side to prevent choking.
Never leave someone alone who you suspect has heat stroke. So important. Now let's talk about groups of people who need extra care in hot weather, because some people are at much higher risk than others. Elderly people are at higher risk because the body's ability to regulate temperature naturally decreases with age. Babies and very young children are at high risk because their bodies heat up much faster than adults, and they cannot tell you they are too hot. Pregnant women have higher body temperatures and need extra care. People with chronic health conditions, such as heart disease, diabetes, or respiratory problems, are more vulnerable.
Elderly people are especially vulnerable during heat waves for several important reasons. First, their sense of thirst decreases with age, so they do not feel thirsty even when they are becoming dehydrated. Second, their skin becomes less efficient at sweating, which reduces the body's natural cooling ability. Third, many elderly people take multiple medications, some of which can increase heat sensitivity or affect sweating. Fourth, older people often live alone and may not have family or friends checking on them regularly during a heat wave. This isolation increases the risk significantly. During heat waves, it is really important to check on elderly relatives, neighbors, and friends. Visit them, call them, or have someone keep an eye on them.
Community care saves lives during extreme heat. Such a powerful and true statement. Now let's talk about hot weather and cars, because cars can become extremely dangerous very quickly in sunshine. On a warm day, even a day that does not feel very hot, the temperature inside a parked car can rise to 60 or 70 degrees Celsius within just a few minutes. This is because glass windows trap heat, creating a greenhouse effect. This is potentially fatal for children or pets left inside. Never leave children or pets alone in a parked car in warm weather, even for just a few minutes.
Hot car safety is so important. A few more things about driving in hot weather. Before driving, check that your car has enough coolant, the liquid that prevents the engine from overheating, and water in the radiator. Overheating engines are very common during heat waves. If your engine overheats while driving, indicated by the temperature gauge rising, pull over safely. Turn off the engine and wait for it to cool before opening the bonnet. Never open the bonnet of an overheating car immediately. The pressure can cause serious burns. Carry a bottle of water in your car for both yourself and the vehicle. Wear sunglasses while driving to reduce glare and eye strain.
Such important car safety information. Now let's talk about swimming and water safety in hot weather, because hot days send many people to swimming pools, lakes, rivers, and the sea. Water activities are a wonderful way to cool down, but they also carry risks that increase in hot weather. First, always swim in supervised areas where there is a lifeguard if possible. Second, never swim alone. Third, check conditions before swimming in open water. Currents, tides, and water depth can be very different from what they appear. Fourth, children must be supervised very closely near water at all times. Drowning can happen very quickly and silently.
Water safety in hot weather is so important to talk about. Here are more key points. Know your own swimming ability and stay within your limits. Open water swimming is very different from pool swimming. The cold water in some lakes and rivers can cause cold water shock, even on a hot day, which can cause sudden difficulty breathing and loss of muscle control. Always enter open water slowly rather than jumping in. Wear appropriate water shoes on rocks or uneven surfaces to prevent injury. If you get into difficulty in the water, stay calm and try to float on your back. Use your energy wisely rather than panicking.
Float on your back if you get into difficulty. I want everyone to remember that. Now let's talk about how to help your pets and animals stay safe in hot weather, because animals feel the heat too and can suffer from heat stroke just like humans. Dogs especially struggle in heat. Never leave a pet in a parked car. Make sure pets always have access to fresh, cool water. On very hot days, limit your dog's walks to early morning or late evening when it is cooler. Hot pavements can burn a dog's paws. If you cannot hold your hand on the pavement for 5 seconds comfortably, it is too hot for your dog to walk on.
Pet heat stroke is a genuine emergency. If your pet is showing signs of overheating, act very quickly. Move them immediately to a cool, shaded area. Wet their coat with cool, not ice-cold water. Place cool, damp towels on their neck, armpits, and between their hind legs. Allow them to drink small amounts of cool water if they are conscious and able to swallow. Do not cover them with wet towels. This can trap heat. And take them to a veterinarian, a vet, as quickly as possible, even if they seem to be recovering. Heat stroke in animals can cause internal organ damage that is not immediately visible.
Our animals depend on us for their safety. Such an important responsibility. Now let's do a quiz for our listeners. I will describe a situation, and Mark will say whether the person is being safe or not and explain why. Ready? Situation 1. Sarah is outside gardening at 2 in the afternoon on a very hot and sunny day. She is wearing a black t-shirt and dark jeans. She has not applied sunscreen. She has a small glass of water next to her and has been outside for 3 hours. Listeners, think about all the hot weather safety rules we have discussed today. Is Sarah being safe in this situation?
Sarah is definitely not being safe. Let me count the problems. First, gardening at 2 in the afternoon is exactly during peak sun hours, the most dangerous time. She should be inside or in the shade. Second, wearing a black t-shirt and dark jeans is the worst possible clothing choice in hot sun. Dark colors absorb heat and will make her feel much hotter. Third, no sunscreen. She is exposing her skin to strong UV radiation and will likely get sunburned. Fourth, a small glass of water after 3 hours outdoors is nowhere near enough hydration. She is almost certainly becoming dehydrated.
Perfect assessment of Sarah's situation. Now, situation 2. Michael is going on a summer picnic at 10 in the morning. He puts on SPF 50 sunscreen. He wears a light blue loose linen shirt and a wide-brimmed hat. He carries a 2-liter bottle of water and an electrolyte drink. He plans to sit under a large tree and return home by noon before the hottest part of the day. He has prepared cold food, so he does not need to cook. Listeners, is Michael being safe? Mark, what do you think? Is there anything Michael is doing very well or anything he could improve?
Michael is doing almost everything right. He's an excellent hot weather safety example. Let me go through his good choices. SPF 50 sunscreen, excellent protection. Light blue loose linen shirt, perfect color and fabric choice for reflecting heat. Wide-brimmed hat, essential sun protection for head, face, and neck. 2 liters of water plus electrolyte drink, excellent hydration planning. Sitting under a tree, natural shade is wonderful. Leaving by noon, sensibly avoiding the hottest peak sun hours. Cold food prepared in advance avoids cooking heat inside his home and the picnic location. The only thing I would suggest Michael adds is sunglasses to protect his eyes from UV rays.
Michael is my hot weather hero. Now, let's talk about food safety in hot weather, because food can spoil much faster in heat and cause food poisoning. Food poisoning occurs when bacteria in food multiply rapidly in warm temperatures. Some important food safety rules for hot weather. Never leave perishable food that spoils easily like meat, fish, dairy, and eggs, at room temperature for more than 2 hours. In very hot weather, this reduces to 1 hour. Keep cold food in a refrigerator or cool box with ice packs. When transporting food for a picnic or barbecue, keep it in a cool bag. Thoroughly cook meat, especially chicken, to kill any bacteria.
Food poisoning is unfortunately very common in summer. Signs typically appear between 30 minutes and 48 hours after eating contaminated food. Symptoms include nausea, vomiting, stomach cramps, diarrhea, and sometimes fever. For mild food poisoning, rest, drink plenty of fluids to prevent dehydration from vomiting and diarrhea, and avoid solid food until you feel better. Seek medical attention if you have severe vomiting that prevents you from keeping fluids down, very high fever, blood in your vomit or diarrhea, or if symptoms last more than 2 days. Elderly people, young children, and people with weakened immune systems are at risk of serious complications and should see a doctor sooner.
When in doubt, throw it out. Such a memorable and important rule for food safety. Now let's talk about exercising safely in hot weather, because many people continue their usual exercise routines during heat waves without adapting them, which can be very dangerous. Here are the key rules for exercising in hot weather. First, exercise in the early morning or late evening, not during peak sun hours. Second, reduce your intensity. Exercise more gently than usual in heat. Third, drink water before, during, and after exercise. Fourth, wear light, breathable clothing. Fifth, choose shaded routes when running or cycling outdoors.
Excellent exercise safety points. A few more important additions. Acclimatization is the process of getting gradually used to hot conditions. If you are not used to exercising in heat, start with very short, easy sessions and build up over 1 to 2 weeks. Your body needs time to adapt its cooling mechanisms. Monitor your urine color. Pale yellow means you are well hydrated. Dark yellow or orange means you need to drink more water urgently. Athletes call this the urine color test, and it is genuinely useful. If you normally run 5 kilometers, consider walking it instead during extreme heat.
The urine color test. So practical and so easy to use. Now let's give our listeners a complete hot weather safety checklist, a list of all the most important things to remember. Before going outside in hot weather, apply SPF 30 or higher sunscreen. Wear a wide-brimmed hat and sunglasses. Put on light-colored, loose, breathable clothing. Fill a large water bottle and carry it with you. Check the weather forecast and UV index. Plan to be outside during cooler hours, morning or late afternoon. Tell someone where you are going if you will be alone, and prepare for emergencies. Know the signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke.
Continuing the checklist, while you are outside, drink water regularly before you feel thirsty. Stay in shade whenever possible. Avoid intense physical activity during peak sun hours. Reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Check on anyone you with, especially children, elderly people, and pets. Take regular cool-down breaks indoors or in shade. Watch yourself and others for signs of heat illness. At home, keep curtains and blinds closed during the day. Open windows at night for ventilation. Use cool, wet cloths to lower body temperature. Avoid using the oven during the hottest part of the day. Keep cold water and cool drinks available at all times. Check on elderly or vulnerable neighbors.
What a comprehensive and practical checklist. Now let's give our listeners some key English phrases they can use to talk about hot weather safely. It is dangerously hot today. Stay hydrated. The UV index is very high. Wear SPF 50 and a hat. Drink plenty of water throughout the day. Stay in the shade between 11 and 3. I feel dizzy. I need some water and shade. She looks unwell. Let's move her to somewhere cool. Never leave children or pets in a hot car. The forecast says it will be over 40 degrees. Be careful. I am checking on my elderly neighbor during this heat wave. When in doubt about your health in hot,
A few final and important tips. First, never underestimate heat. It is one of the world's deadliest weather phenomena, more dangerous than most people realize. Second, plan ahead. Buy sunscreen, prepare cool drinks, and check the forecast before a hot day. Third, look out for each other. The most vulnerable people in your community may need your help during extreme heat. Fourth, trust your body. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Act early before symptoms become serious. Fifth, download your local emergency number so it is ready in case of a heat emergency. And sixth, cool down before you sleep. A comfortable bedroom temperature significantly improves your health during a heat wave.
what a wonderfully important and comprehensive episode this has been. I feel very prepared for hot weather after today. Let me give a final summary of everything we covered. We talked about key hot weather vocabulary: heat wave, dehydration, UV index, heat stroke. We discussed staying hydrated with water and electrolyte drinks. We covered sunscreen use, protective clothing, and timing your outdoor activities. We learned how to keep your home cool during a heat wave. We explored heat exhaustion and heat stroke, how to recognize and respond to them. We talked about vulnerable groups, car safety, water safety, pet safety, food safety, and exercise safety. We did a quiz about Sarah and Michael.
Thank you so much, Anna. This was such a vitally important episode. And a huge thank you to every listener who joined us today. Hot weather is one of those topics where a little knowledge really can save a life. Yours, a family member's, or a neighbor's. Share what you learned today with people around you, especially if you know elderly people, people with young children, or anyone who might need extra support during extreme heat. Use today's English vocabulary in real conversations about weather and safety. Ask friends, are you staying hydrated? Do you have enough sunscreen? How are you keeping cool? These small conversations matter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. My name is Anna, and I am so happy you are here with us today. This podcast is made for beginner English learners, and every episode is simple, friendly, and very useful. Today, we have a really exciting and practical topic. We are going to talk about how to study smart, not hard. Many people spend hours and hours studying, but do not see good results. The problem is often not how much they study, but how they study. I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Mark. Mark, say hello and tell us, were you a smart studier when you were at school?
Hello, hello. Thank you, Anna. Hi to all our wonderful listeners. Was I a smart studier at school? Honestly, no, not at first. I used to sit at my desk for many hours, rereading the same pages over and over, and wondering why I could not remember anything. It was frustrating and exhausting. But over time, I discovered that there are much smarter and more effective ways to study. Today, Anna and I are going to share the best techniques, strategies, and habits that science has proven actually work. By the end of this episode, you will know exactly how to get better results in less time. Let's get started.
Let's start with some important vocabulary for today's topic. To study smart means to use effective, efficient methods that produce the best results in the least amount of time. To study hard simply means to spend a lot of time and effort studying, often without a clear strategy. These are very different things. Other important words: technique, a specific method or way of doing something; strategy, a plan for achieving a goal; retention, the ability to remember and keep information in your memory; and active learning, engaging deeply with material rather than passively reading it; and to cram, to try to learn a large amount of information very quickly just before an exam.
Studying hard without smart strategies is ineffective for one main reason. The human brain does not store information simply because you look at it for a long time. The brain stores information that is meaningful, repeated in smart ways, connected to what it already knows, and retrieved actively. Simply rereading your notes or textbook is one of the least effective study methods science has identified, but it is what most students naturally do. The phrase, "the illusion of knowing," describes this perfectly. When you reread something, it feels familiar, so you think you know it. But familiarity is not the same as real learning. Real learning means you can recall and use information without looking at it.
The illusion of knowing. What a powerful and important concept. Now, let's talk about the first smart study strategy: active recall. Active recall means testing yourself on material instead of just reading it. Instead of looking at your notes and thinking, "Yes, I know this," you close your notes and try to remember the information from memory. You ask yourself questions. What are the main points of this topic? What did I just read? Can I explain this in my own words without looking? This forces your brain to work hard to retrieve the information, which strengthens the memory much more than passive rereading. A simple tool for active recall is flashcards.
Active recall is one of the most powerful study techniques ever researched. Here's why it works so well. Every time you try to retrieve a piece of information from memory, even if you struggle and cannot remember it perfectly, your brain strengthens the connection to that information. The struggle to remember is not a sign that you are failing. It is actually the learning happening. Psychologists call this the testing effect, or retrieval practice effect. The simple act of testing yourself on material dramatically improves how well you remember it long term, compared to rereading the same material. Practical ways to use active recall: close your book and write everything you remember.
Teaching the material to an imaginary student. I love that idea. Now, let's talk about the second powerful strategy: spaced repetition. Spaced repetition means reviewing information at gradually increasing intervals over time, rather than studying everything on the same day. For example, you learn something new today, you review it tomorrow, then 3 days later, then a week later, then a month later. Each time you review, the memory gets stronger and lasts longer. This matches the natural way human memory works. Our memories fade over time. Scientists call this the forgetting curve. But each time you review information just before you're about to forget it, the forgetting curve resets and becomes flatter.
Spaced repetition is beautifully simple once you understand it. Imagine you're building a wall with bricks. If you lay all the bricks in one day and never come back, the wall might collapse. But if you add bricks regularly over many days, checking that each layer is solid before adding the next, the wall becomes strong and permanent. Memory works the same way. Trying to learn everything about a topic in one long session, called massed practice or cramming, creates weak temporary memories.
Reviewing the same material spread over multiple sessions creates strong, lasting memories. The brilliant thing is, spaced repetition actually requires less total study time than cramming to achieve better long-term results.
What a perfect analogy, building a wall of knowledge brick by brick. Now let's talk about the third strategy, the Pomodoro technique, because this one is specifically about how to manage your study time. The Pomodoro technique was created by Francesco Cirillo in the 1980s. It is very simple. You work with complete focus for 25 minutes. This is called one pomodoro, the Italian word for tomato, because Cirillo used a tomato-shaped kitchen timer. After 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break. After completing 4 pomodoros, you take a longer break of 15 to 30 minutes. This method works because it creates focused work blocks, prevents mental fatigue, and makes large tasks feel manageable.
Yes, the Pomodoro technique has been genuinely transformative for my productivity. Before I discovered it, I would sit at my desk for 2 or 3 hours feeling increasingly tired, distracted, and unproductive. Now I work in focused 25-minute blocks, and the difference is remarkable. The fixed time limit creates a sense of urgency. You know you only have 25 minutes, so you focus immediately without procrastinating. The regular breaks prevent mental fatigue and keep your concentration fresh across a longer period. And seeing a completed list of pomodoros at the end of a study session gives a satisfying sense of accomplishment.
Even a struggling student can manage 25 minutes, and that is exactly how to start. Now let's talk about the fourth SMART strategy, interleaving. Interleaving means mixing different subjects or types of problems within a single study session, rather than studying one subject completely before moving to the next. For example, instead of spending 1 hour only on mathematics, you might do 20 minutes of mathematics, then 20 minutes of history, then 20 minutes of biology. This feels less comfortable than studying one subject at a time, but research shows it actually produces much better long-term learning. The slight difficulty and confusion you feel when switching between topics forces your brain to work harder and make connections.
Interleaving works better because of something called desirable difficulty. When studying feels slightly hard and uncomfortable, your brain is actually working more deeply with the material. Studying one subject in one big block feels comfortable and efficient, but it creates an illusion of mastery. You were just warming up to the material. When you switch subjects, you have to start fresh, re-engage your brain, and actively recall what you were working on when you return. This active re-engagement is the real learning happening. Research studies comparing blocked practice, one subject at a time, with interleaved practice consistently find that interleaved learners perform significantly better on tests, even though they often feel less confident during studying.
Desirable difficulty. What a wonderful concept. The slight discomfort is actually the learning. Now let's talk about the environment, because where and how you study has a significant impact on the quality and effectiveness of your studying. A good study environment has several key features. It is free from distractions, especially your phone and social media. It is comfortable, but not too comfortable. Studying in bed, for example, makes many people sleepy. It has good lighting. Natural light is best. It is quiet or has only non-distracting background sound, and it is associated in your mind with studying. If you always study at the same desk, your brain begins to automatically shift into.
My ideal study environment has a few non-negotiables. First, my phone is in another room or on airplane mode, completely out of sight. Notifications are the #1 enemy of focused study. Research shows that even having your phone visible on your desk, even face down, reduces your cognitive capacity. Just seeing it makes you think about it. Second, I sit at a proper desk with good lighting, not on a sofa or in bed. Third, I use noise-canceling headphones, either with silence or instrumental music without lyrics. Lyrics are very distracting when reading or thinking. Fourth, I keep my desk clear of unnecessary objects. Clutter creates mental noise.
A prepared environment is a productive environment. I love that. Now let's talk about something many students do wrong: highlighting and underlining. Many students use colored highlighters on their textbooks and feel very productive while doing it. The page looks neat and colorful, and it feels like studying. But research consistently shows that highlighting and underlining are among the least effective study techniques available. Why? Because they are passive. You are just marking text, not deeply engaging with it. And because students tend to highlight too much, which does not help them identify the most important information. Marking your textbook in yellow does not make your brain remember it better.
Instead of highlighting, students should annotate and engage actively. Here is what effective reading looks like. As you read, ask yourself questions. Why is this important? How does this connect to what I already know? Can I think of an example? Write these thoughts in the margins. This is called annotation. Summarize each section in your own words in the margin or in a separate notebook. This forces active processing. Create a simple outline of the main points without looking at the text. And after finishing a section, close the book and try to write everything you remember. Then check what you missed. These active reading strategies produce dramatically better retention than any amount of highlighting.
Annotation and summarizing in your own words, so much more powerful than highlighting. Now let's talk about the importance of sleep for learning, because many students make the serious mistake of staying up very late to study more, but this is counterproductive. During sleep, especially during the deep sleep and REM stages, your brain actively consolidates memories. It sorts, organizes, and strengthens everything you learned during the day, moving information from short-term to long-term memory. If you deprive yourself of sleep to study more, you are actually undermining the very process that makes your studying effective. The phrase "sleep on it" has real scientific meaning. Sleeping after learning significantly improves how well you remember.
Sleep is possibly the single most important study tool that almost no student talks about. Here is what happens neurologically. During deep sleep, your brain replays and strengthens the neural pathways formed during the day's learning. During REM sleep, your brain makes creative connections between new information and things you already know. This is why you sometimes wake up with a new understanding of something you were confused about the day before. Studies show that sleeping between a learning session and a test dramatically improves test performance compared to staying awake from more study time. The practical advice? Do your studying, then sleep. Do not cram at the expense of sleep.
Sleep is studying. Every student needs to hear that. Now let's talk about exercise and its relationship to learning, because this surprises many people. Physical exercise is not just good for your body, it is directly beneficial for your brain and your ability to learn. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain, promotes the growth of new brain cells, and releases chemicals like BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which scientists sometimes call miracle grow for the brain because it helps neurons connect and memories form. Studies consistently show that students who exercise regularly have better memory, better concentration, and better academic performance than those who do not.
The difference in my mental performance after exercise is remarkable. On days when I go for a morning run or do even a short workout before studying, my concentration is sharper, my thinking is clearer, and I learn new information much more quickly. On days when I sit at my desk all day without moving, my mind feels foggy and slow by the afternoon. The research strongly supports this personal experience. A study from Harvard found that aerobic exercise, activities that raise your heart rate, actually causes new brain cells to grow in the hippocampus, the area of the brain most responsible for learning and memory.
Move your body to improve your mind. Such a simple and powerful message. Now let's talk about something very important for all learners: the importance of breaks. Many students feel guilty about taking breaks. They think every minute not studying is a minute wasted. But this is wrong. Regular, planned breaks are essential for effective studying. Your brain cannot maintain deep focus indefinitely. After a period of concentrated work, typically 20 to 45 minutes, the quality of your attention decreases significantly. Working through this fatigue does not produce more learning, it produces less. Planned breaks allow your brain to consolidate recent learning, reset your attention, and approach the next session with fresh focus.
Effective study breaks are those that genuinely rest your brain, not those that simply replace one screen with another. Here is what I recommend. Stand up and move. Even walking to the kitchen and back gets blood flowing. Go outside briefly if possible. Fresh air and natural light are genuinely restorative for mental energy. Do a few minutes of gentle stretching. Your body gets stiff from sitting. Have a healthy snack and drink water. Hydration significantly affects cognitive performance. Or simply sit quietly for a few minutes without any screens. What I do not recommend for breaks: checking social media, watching videos, or playing phone games.
A real break means stepping away from all screens. So important and so often ignored. Now let's talk about goal setting for studying, because studying without a clear goal is like driving without a destination. Effective study goals are specific and measurable. Not, I will study English today, but I will learn and review 20 new English vocabulary words with flashcards for 30 minutes today. Not, I will study for my exam, but I will complete and self-test on chapters 3 and 4 today. When your study goal is specific, you know exactly when you have achieved it. This creates motivation, focus, and a satisfying sense of completion when you finish.
Setting effective study goals has transformed my productivity. Here's my simple system. The night before, I decide specifically what I want to accomplish the next day. Not what I want to go over, but what I want to be able to do by the end of the session. For example, by the end of this session, I will be able to recall all 50 vocabulary words without looking at my notes. Or I will complete 10 practice problems and check my answers. Notice that the goal describes a result, something I can verify, not just an activity. I also estimate how long each task will take and plan my sessions accordingly.
Specific outcomes make studying more effective and more satisfying. Perfectly said. Now, let's talk about the myth of multitasking, because many students believe they can study effectively while also doing other things, watching television, texting friends, or listening to music with lyrics. But research is very clear. Multitasking, truly doing two mentally demanding things simultaneously, is not possible for the human brain. What we call multitasking is actually task switching, rapidly moving attention between tasks. And every time you switch, there is a cost, called switching cost, where your attention takes time to fully engage with the new task. This makes every individual task slower and less accurate.
The impact of distractions during studying is much greater than most people realize. Research by Gloria Mark at the University of California found that after being interrupted, even briefly, it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully return to the original task. So one quick check of your phone does not cost you 30 seconds. It potentially costs you more than 20 minutes of full concentration. This means that students who study for 2 hours with frequent phone checks may achieve far less deep learning than students who study with complete focus for just 45 minutes.
Protect your focus fiercely. It is your most precious resource. I want to write that on every student's desk. Now, let's talk about the importance of understanding rather than memorization. Many students try to memorize information without truly understanding it. This creates fragile knowledge. You might remember facts for an exam, but quickly forget them afterward, and you cannot apply them flexibly in new situations. True learning means understanding the underlying concepts, principles, and connections. When you understand something deeply, you can remember it more easily, apply it in different contexts, and transfer it to new situations. In English, I understand why this works, not just that it works. I can explain this in my own words.
Building understanding rather than memorizing is one of the most important learning principles. A powerful technique for this is called the Feynman technique, named after Nobel Prize-winning physicist Richard Feynman. It works in 4 steps. First, choose a concept you want to understand. Second, explain it as simply and clearly as possible, as if you were teaching a 10-year-old child. Use plain language, no jargon. Third, identify the gaps. Where did your explanation break down? Where did you struggle to explain clearly? Those are the areas you do not truly understand yet. Fourth, go back to your source material and fill those gaps, then repeat.
Simplicity is the sign of true understanding. That is such a powerful principle. Now, let's do a quick quiz for our listeners. I will describe a student's study behavior, and Mark will say whether this student is studying smart and suggest a better approach if needed. Ready? Situation 1. Mia has an exam in 3 days. She opens her textbook and spends 2 hours reading all her notes from the beginning, using a yellow highlighter to mark sentences she thinks are important. She reads everything twice and feels confident she knows it well. Listeners, is Mia studying smart? Think about what we have discussed today. Mark, what is your verdict, and what should Mia do instead?
Mia is unfortunately not studying smart. She is using two of the least effective study techniques, passive rereading and highlighting. Rereading creates the illusion of knowing. Because the material looks familiar, she feels confident, but this familiarity is not the same as real memory or understanding. And highlighting is passive. It does not make her brain work hard to remember anything. Here's what Mia should do instead. After one reading, she should close the book and write down everything she can remember. Active recall. She should use flashcards to test herself on key facts. She should spread her review over 3 days, one solid session today, a review tomorrow, and a final review.
Perfect advice for Mia. Now let's look at situation 2. Daniel studies for 30 minutes with complete focus, no phone, no music, at his desk. He uses flashcards to test himself on vocabulary. After 30 minutes, he takes a 10-minute walk outside, then he returns and studies a different subject for 25 minutes using the Pomodoro technique. In the evening, he reviews his earlier flashcards briefly and goes to bed at 10:30 to ensure 8 hours of sleep. Listeners, is Daniel studying smart? What is he doing well? I am very curious to hear Mark's analysis of Daniel's study session.
Daniel is studying brilliantly. Let me go through everything he's doing right. First, 30 minutes of complete distraction-free focus. This protects his concentration and ensures deep learning. Second, using flashcards for vocabulary. This is active recall, one of the best study techniques available. Third, a 10-minute walk for a break. This genuinely restores his brain and increases blood flow. Fourth, switching to a different subject. This is interleaving, which again, research produces better long-term retention. Fifth, a brief evening review of earlier flashcards. This is spaced repetition, consolidating his earlier learning. And sixth, getting 8 hours of sleep, allowing his brain to fully consolidate everything he learned during the day.
Daniel is my new study hero. Now let's talk about something that often gets overlooked, the physical act of writing by hand. In our digital world, many students take notes on laptops or tablets, but research suggests that handwriting notes, physically writing by hand, leads to better learning than typing. The reason is fascinating. When you type, you can transcribe information very quickly, which means you often write down words almost verbatim without deeply processing them. When you write by hand, the process is slower, which forces you to listen more carefully, select the most important information, and put it into your own words. This deeper processing during note-taking leads to better understanding and better retention.
I use both, but for different purposes. For learning new material and attending lectures or classes, I always prefer handwriting in a physical notebook. The slower pace forces me to process and summarize rather than transcribe. My handwritten notes are messier and shorter than typed notes, but they represent what I actually understood, not just what I heard. For organizing and reviewing information later, I sometimes transfer key points to a digital format, which is easier to search and reorganize. If you use a laptop for notes, a simple rule helps. Do not write full sentences.
Force yourself to summarize in 4 or 5 words per point. This mimics the processing benefit of handwriting.
Engage your brain, not just your fingers. Such a clear and practical principle. Now let's talk about learning in different ways, what is called multimodal learning. Our brains process and remember information much better when we encounter it in multiple different formats. Reading about a topic is one way, watching a video explanation is another, drawing a diagram is another, explaining it aloud to someone is another, creating a mind map is another. Each different format activates different parts of your brain and creates more connections to the new information, making it easier to remember and apply. For language learners especially, combining reading, listening, speaking, and writing creates much stronger learning than any single method alone.
Multimodal learning is something I practice naturally now, though I did not always do it deliberately. When I'm learning something new, I try to encounter it in at least 3 different ways. First, I read about it from a textbook or article. Second, I find a video explanation. Watching and listening adds a visual and auditory dimension. Third, I write a summary in my own words. This activates writing and deepens processing. And sometimes I also draw a simple diagram or mind map connecting the key ideas visually. For language learning specifically, which is what many of our listeners are doing right now, this means reading English, listening to English, speaking English, and
Every episode of this podcast is already multimodal learning. I love that. You are already studying smart by listening to us. Now let's give our listeners a complete summary of all the smart study strategies we have covered today. Strategy 1. Use active recall. Test yourself instead of rereading. Strategy 2. Use spaced repetition. Review at increasing intervals over time. Strategy 3. Use the Pomodoro technique. 25 minutes focused, 5 minutes break. Strategy 4. Try interleaving. Mix different subjects in one session. Strategy 5. Create a distraction-free study environment. Strategy 6. Annotate and summarize instead of highlighting. Strategy 7. Protect your sleep. It is essential for memory consolidation.
Continuing the strategy list, Strategy 9 sets specific, measurable study goals for each session. Strategy 10, eliminate all distractions, protect your focus fiercely. Strategy 11, build understanding, not just memorization. Use the Feynman technique. Strategy 12, use multimodal learning. Read, watch, write, speak. Strategy 13, take handwritten notes to deepen processing. Strategy 14, never cram. Distributed practice always beats massed practice. Strategy 15, do practice tests and questions, the best exam preparation available. And Strategy 16, teach what you have learned to someone else, or to yourself out loud. If you can explain it clearly and simply, you truly know it.
16 smart study strategies. What an incredible toolkit. I feel like going back to school just listening to this episode. Let me give a final summary of today. We talked about the difference between studying smart and studying hard. We covered active recall, spaced repetition, the Pomodoro technique, and interleaving. We discussed creating a good study environment, the failure of highlighting, and the power of annotation. We talked about sleep, exercise, breaks, goal setting, and the dangers of multitasking. We explored understanding over memorization using the Feynman technique, multimodal learning, and handwritten notes. We did a quiz about Mia and Daniel, and we gave 16 complete study strategies.
Thank you so much, Anna. This was one of the most practically useful episodes we have ever made. And a huge thank you to every listener who joined us today. Remember, studying smart means using your time and energy in the most effective way possible so that you learn more, remember more, and enjoy the process more. Every single one of the strategies we shared today is backed by real scientific research. They work. Start with one small change. Maybe try active recall for just 15 minutes today instead of rereading your notes. Notice the difference. Then add another strategy next week. Small, consistent improvements compound into extraordinary results over time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. My name is Anna, and I am so happy you are here with us today. This podcast is made for beginner English learners, and every episode is simple, friendly, and useful. Today, we have a very special and meaningful topic. We are going to talk about freedom. Freedom is one of the most important words in the English language. People talk about freedom every day, in politics, in daily life, in relationships, and in their personal goals and dreams. I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Mark. Mark, say hello and tell us, what does the word freedom mean to you?
Hello, hello. Thank you, Anna. Hi to all our wonderful listeners. The word freedom means a great deal to me. At its most basic level, freedom means the ability to make your own choices without being controlled or stopped by others. But freedom is also much bigger than that. It is about opportunity, dignity, and the right to live your life in a way that feels true to who you are. Today, Anna and I are going to explore freedom from many different angles: personal freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of movement, and much more. We will also share lots of useful English vocabulary and phrases. Let's begin this important and inspiring conversation.
Let's start with the basics. What does freedom actually mean? Freedom means the state of being free, being able to act, speak, or think without restriction. The adjective form is free. For example, she feels free to speak her mind. He is free to go wherever he wants. The opposite of freedom is restriction, control, or oppression. A person without freedom is controlled, limited, or imprisoned. In English, there are many related words. Liberty, which means almost the same as freedom, often used in formal or political contexts. Rights, the things you are legally allowed to do. Equality, when everyone has the same rights and opportunities.
Great question. There are many important types of freedom that people talk about in everyday life and in society. Freedom of speech, the right to say what you think without punishment. Freedom of movement, the ability to travel and live where you choose. Freedom of religion, the right to practice any religion or no religion at all. Freedom of the press, the right of journalists to report the news without government control. Personal freedom, the right to live your private life as you choose. Economic freedom, the ability to work, earn money, and spend it as you wish.
Those are all such important types of freedom. Now let's talk about personal freedom in everyday life, because this is something everyone experiences directly. Personal freedom means making your own choices about how to live. For example, choosing what career to pursue, choosing who to love and spend your life with, choosing what to eat, wear, and believe, choosing how to spend your free time. When we have personal freedom, we feel in control of our own lives. When we lose it, even in small ways, we feel frustrated or unhappy. In English, we use phrases like, "I want to make my own decisions. I do not want anyone to tell me what to do. I feel..."
That is a really interesting question. I feel very fortunate to have a great degree of personal freedom in my daily life. I can choose my work, my friends, my home, and how I spend my time. I can speak my opinions openly and practice whatever beliefs I hold. But I also recognize that true freedom requires responsibility. Freedom does not mean doing whatever you want without thinking about others. As the saying goes, your freedom ends where another person's freedom begins. This means that we must exercise our own freedom in a way that respects the rights and well-being of others.
Your freedom ends where another person's freedom begins. What a powerful and wise saying. Now let's talk about freedom of speech, because this is one of the most discussed and debated freedoms in the modern world. Freedom of speech means you have the right to express your opinions, ideas, and beliefs in conversation, in writing, in art, and in public. In democratic countries, freedom of speech is protected by law. However, even in countries with this protection, there are limits. For example, you cannot use speech to incite violence or spread dangerous lies that harm others. In English, useful phrases related to speech and expression: "I have the right to say what I think. Everyone is free."
Freedom of speech is essential for so many reasons. First,
It allows people to criticize their government and powerful institutions without fear. This is the foundation of a healthy democracy. Leaders who cannot be criticized tend to become corrupt and dangerous. Second, freedom of speech allows new ideas to be shared and debated. Science, art, and social progress all depend on the free exchange of ideas. Third, it allows individuals to tell their stories and have their experiences heard. When people cannot speak freely, injustice can be hidden. The phrase, "sunlight is the best disinfectant," is a famous saying meaning that transparency, bringing things into the open, helps society stay clean and fair.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant. What a vivid and memorable phrase. Now, let's talk about freedom of movement, because this is something many people take for granted. Freedom of movement means the ability to travel freely within your own country and, in some cases, to other countries. In the European Union, for example, citizens of member countries can live and work in any other member country without needing special permission. This is a remarkable freedom that millions of people benefit from. However, not everyone in the world has this freedom. People in some countries face restrictions on where they can travel.
I think about this topic quite deeply. I am very fortunate to hold a passport that allows me to travel to many countries with little difficulty, but I am aware that this is not the case for everyone in the world. Passport privilege is a real thing. The passport you hold largely determines how freely you can move around the world. Citizens of some countries can visit over 180 countries without a visa. Citizens of other countries can only visit a handful of places freely. This inequality is something many people do not think about. When I travel, I try to remember that the ease of my movement is a privilege, not something everyone shares.
Passport privilege is such a thought-provoking term. Now, let's talk about freedom and responsibility, because these two ideas are always connected. Having freedom means you also have responsibility for your choices and for how they affect others. This is true in everyday life and in society as a whole. For example, the freedom to drive a car comes with the responsibility to follow traffic laws and drive safely. The freedom to own a business comes with the responsibility to treat your workers fairly. The freedom to speak publicly comes with the responsibility to be truthful and respectful. In English, a popular phrase is, "With great power comes great responsibility." Mark, can you give more examples of how freedom—
Freedom and responsibility are truly inseparable. Here are more everyday examples. The freedom to use social media comes with the responsibility not to spread false information or bully others online. The freedom to have children comes with the enormous responsibility of caring for and raising them well. The freedom to live in a democratic country comes with the responsibility to participate by voting, staying informed, and being an active citizen. The freedom to eat whatever you choose comes with the responsibility to consider the impact on your health and on the environment. And the freedom to have a voice comes with the responsibility to listen as well as speak.
Responsibility transforms freedom from selfishness into wisdom. Beautifully said. Now, let's talk about financial freedom, because this is something many people dream about. Financial freedom means having enough money saved and invested that you do not need to work just to pay your basic bills. It means you have choices about how to spend your time, rather than being forced to work long hours in a job you dislike. Some people achieve financial freedom through saving carefully, investing wisely, and spending less than they earn over many years. Others build businesses that eventually provide passive income, money that comes in without requiring constant active work.
Financial freedom is something I think about a lot. To me, it does not necessarily mean being extremely wealthy. It means having enough to cover your needs comfortably, enough savings to handle unexpected problems, and enough flexibility to make choices based on what you value rather than just financial necessity. I do believe it is achievable for many people through consistent saving habits, living within your means, and making smart decisions about money over time. However, I also recognize that structural inequalities in society make financial freedom much harder for some people than others. Wages, access to education, healthcare costs, and economic opportunity are not equally distributed.
Living within your means is such a key phrase for financial freedom. Now, let's talk about freedom and relationships, because the way freedom operates within personal relationships is very interesting. In a healthy relationship, whether a friendship, a romantic relationship, or a family relationship, both people should feel free to be themselves. They should be able to express their thoughts and feelings honestly, pursue their own interests and friendships outside the relationship, and make personal decisions without constant control or judgment. When one person in a relationship controls or restricts the other too much, it becomes unhealthy. In English, we use phrases like, "I feel free to be myself with you." A good relationship gives you space.
Healthy freedom in a relationship is so important. I think it means mutual trust and respect, trusting your partner enough to give them space and respecting their individuality and independence. It means supporting each other's separate friendships, hobbies, and personal goals. It means being able to disagree, express different opinions, and even spend time apart without feeling threatened or jealous. The phrase "love sets you free" suggests that real love does not trap or restrict, it liberates. A partner who loves you genuinely wants you to grow, explore, and be your full self. Controlling behavior, checking someone's phone, limiting their friendships, or making all decisions for them is the opposite of love.
Real love and real freedom go hand in hand. What a beautiful and true statement. Now let's talk about freedom and creativity. When we have the freedom to create, to write, paint, sing, dance, build, or imagine, we express our most genuine and unique selves. Creative freedom means making art or ideas without being told exactly what to think or produce. History shows us that some of the greatest works of art and literature were created in conditions of restriction, people finding creative freedom even in difficult circumstances. In English, we often say someone has creative freedom when they are given space to make their own artistic decisions.
Creativity and freedom are deeply connected, though creativity is remarkably resilient. It finds expression even in the most restrictive conditions. Many great artists, writers, and musicians have created extraordinary work under censorship, poverty, or oppression. They found ways to communicate truth through metaphor, symbol, and hidden meaning. However, I believe creativity truly flourishes when people have genuine freedom. Freedom to explore ideas without fear, freedom to challenge conventions, freedom to fail and try again. When people feel free, they take creative risks, and creative risk-taking leads to real innovation and beauty. The phrase, "necessity is the mother of invention," suggests that even restriction can drive creativity, but I believe freedom is still the best environment for it.
Freedom is the best environment for the human creative spirit to bloom. I love that image. Now let's talk about freedom and nature. Many people feel a profound sense of freedom when they are in nature, in the mountains, by the sea, in a forest, or in a wide open field. Being in nature removes the restrictions of daily life. No screens, no schedules, no demands. You can move freely, breathe fresh air, and feel connected to something larger than yourself. In English, we have beautiful phrases about this feeling. Feeling free as a bird, the open road, the great outdoors, and breathing room, meaning space to relax and think freely.
I feel enormously free in nature. There is something almost magical about being in a wide-open natural landscape. When I hike in the mountains, I feel the weight of everyday worries literally lift from my shoulders. The scale of the landscape, the vast sky, the distant horizon, the silence puts everything in perspective. Small problems seem less important. Big questions feel more approachable. The phrase "to get some headspace" means to gain mental clarity and perspective, and nature does this beautifully. I think many people in modern, busy urban lives are deeply hungry for this kind of freedom, the simple freedom of open space, fresh air, and quiet.
To get some headspace, such a useful and evocative phrase. Now let me ask you something a little different. Is absolute freedom, total freedom with no rules or limits at all, actually desirable?
This is a very interesting philosophical question. If there were absolutely no rules, no laws, and no limits on what anyone could do, would people be more free, or would life become dangerous and chaotic? Many philosophers have thought about this question. Thomas Hobbes, a famous English philosopher, argued that without rules, life would be nasty, brutish, and short. Others argue that freedom requires some structure to protect everyone's rights. Mark, what do you think? Is total, unlimited freedom actually a good thing?
This is a fascinating question. I do not think total, unlimited freedom is truly desirable or even possible in a society. Here's why. If one person has total freedom to do absolutely anything, then other people lose their freedom because they become victims of that person's unchecked actions. True freedom for everyone requires a social agreement, rules and laws that protect each person's rights and prevent one person from violating another's. This is the idea behind the social contract in political philosophy. We give up some absolute freedoms, like the freedom to harm others without consequence, in exchange for living safely and cooperatively in society.
Structured freedom is the most meaningful kind. What a clear and wise conclusion. Now let's talk about freedom and education. Education is one of the most powerful tools for creating genuine freedom. When you have knowledge, when you can read, think critically, understand the world, and communicate effectively, you have more choices in life. You are less likely to be manipulated or deceived. You are better equipped to participate in society and advocate for yourself and others. In English, the phrase "knowledge is power" directly connects learning to freedom and empowerment. Nelson Mandela, one of the world's most famous advocates for freedom, said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world."
Education creates freedom in so many ways. First, it opens economic doors. People with education generally have more career options, higher earning potential, and greater financial security. Second, it develops critical thinking, the ability to analyze information, question assumptions, and form your own opinions rather than simply accepting what others tell you. This is essential for personal and political freedom. Third, it builds communication skills. Being able to speak and write clearly and persuasively gives you a powerful voice in the world. Fourth, it expands your understanding of different cultures, perspectives, and possibilities, broadening your sense of what's possible for your own life.
Education truly is liberation. I love that. And for our listeners learning English, this podcast is part of your educational freedom journey. Now let's talk about freedom and technology. In many ways, technology has given people extraordinary new freedoms. The internet allows free access to information from anywhere in the world. Social media gives ordinary people a global voice. Remote work allows people to work from any location. Online learning removes geographical barriers to education. Translation technology breaks down language barriers. These are remarkable freedoms that did not exist for most of human history. However, technology also brings new restrictions and risks. Mark, do you think technology makes us more free or less free overall?
Technology is a genuinely double-edged sword when it comes to freedom. On the positive side, the internet has democratized information, giving billions of people access to knowledge that was previously only available to the privileged few. It has given voices to marginalized communities. It has connected people across borders and cultures. On the negative side, technology can reduce freedom in serious ways. Governments can use technology for surveillance, tracking citizens' movements and communications. Social media algorithms can create information bubbles, limiting the range of ideas people are exposed to. And constant connectivity can create a sense of never being truly free from work, news, or social obligations.
Technology amplifies both freedom and restriction. Such an insightful and balanced observation. Now, let's talk about some important people in history who fought for freedom. The world has been shaped by remarkable individuals who sacrificed enormously to expand freedom for others. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison fighting against apartheid, the system of racial separation and inequality in South Africa. He became a global symbol of courage and the struggle for equality. Mahatma Gandhi led India's peaceful independence movement against British colonial rule. Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a bus in Alabama in 1955, becoming a symbol of the American civil rights movement.
So many incredible people have fought for freedom throughout history. Harriet Tubman escaped slavery in the United States and then led many others to freedom through a secret network of safe houses called the Underground Railroad, one of the most courageous acts of resistance in American history. Malala Yousafzai, still young today, has fought for girls' right to education in Pakistan and around the world, surviving a serious attack for speaking out. Aung San Suu Kyi spent many years under house arrest in Myanmar for advocating democracy. Frederick Douglass escaped slavery and became one of the most powerful voices against it through his writing and speeches.
What an inspiring list of extraordinary people. Freedom is not given, it must often be fought for. That sentence gives me goosebumps. Now let's talk about a very simple but meaningful question. What does freedom feel like in everyday life? Not the big political or philosophical kind, but the small, daily feeling of being free. The feeling when you finish work on a Friday evening and have a whole weekend ahead. The feeling when you finish an exam or a difficult project. The feeling when you step outside on a beautiful morning with nowhere specific to be. The feeling of being completely understood by a good friend.
Oh, I love this question. The everyday moments of freedom are some of the most precious. My favorites, the feeling of finishing a challenging piece of work and closing my laptop, knowing the task is done and I am free. The moment I step off a plane in a new country and feel the air of a different place, pure freedom of possibility. Sunday morning with no schedule, drinking coffee slowly, reading a book with nowhere to be. A long walk with no destination, just walking where curiosity leads me. And the wonderful feeling of laughing deeply with close friends. Being so comfortable and accepted that you can be completely yourself.
Being fully yourself with no pretense. That is such a profound definition of freedom. Now let's talk about inner freedom, freedom of the mind and spirit. This is perhaps the deepest kind of freedom. You can be physically restricted in a difficult job, in a difficult place, in a difficult situation, and still have inner freedom. Inner freedom is the freedom to choose how you think, what you value, and how you respond to your circumstances. Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychiatrist who survived Nazi concentration camps, wrote about this beautifully in his book, Man's Search for Meaning. He said that even in the most terrible circumstances, the last human freedom is the freedom to choose.
Viktor Frankl's idea of inner freedom is one of the most powerful and moving concepts I have ever encountered. He demonstrated that even in conditions of extreme suffering and total physical restriction, a person can maintain their dignity and their inner life. They can choose to find meaning, to maintain hope, to act with love and courage. This is an extraordinary and inspiring insight. Stoic philosophy, an ancient Greek and Roman tradition, also emphasizes inner freedom. The Stoics taught that we cannot always control external events, but we can always control our response to them. The phrase, respond, do not react, captures this idea.
Respond, do not react. Such a powerful phrase for daily life. Now let's give our listeners some useful English expressions and idioms related to freedom. Free as a bird, completely free with no restrictions. Break free, to escape from something that was holding you back. Set someone free, to release someone from restriction. Give someone free rein, to allow them to do whatever they choose. Footloose and fancy-free, having no responsibilities or commitments, completely free. The world is your oyster. You have complete freedom and many opportunities in front of you. Cut loose, to become free from something, often to relax and have fun.
More wonderful freedom expressions. Born free, a famous phrase from a song and film about a wild lion, meaning freedom is a natural state. Fly the nest, when young adults leave home and become independent for the first time. Spread your wings, to explore new opportunities and become more independent. No strings attached, complete freedom with no hidden conditions or obligations. The open road, a symbol of freedom and adventure, often used when talking about travel or new beginnings. Think outside the box, to be free in your thinking, not limited by conventional ideas.
March to the beat of your own drum is one of my all-time favorite English expressions. It beautifully captures the idea of living authentically and independently. Now let's talk about the relationship between freedom and happiness. Research in psychology suggests that having choices, having freedom, does make people happier. To a point, but too many choices can actually cause anxiety and dissatisfaction. This is called the paradox of choice. Psychologist Barry Schwartz found that when people have too many options, they often feel less satisfied with their final choice because they wonder if a different choice would have been better. So freedom and happiness are connected, but the relationship is more complex than it first appears.
The paradox of choice is a fascinating idea. I think freedom is essential for happiness, but you are right that unlimited choices do not automatically mean more happiness. The research suggests that a moderate amount of meaningful choice is most conducive to well-being, enough to feel autonomous and self-determining, but not so many options that you feel overwhelmed and paralyzed. I also think the kind of freedom matters enormously. Freedom to pursue meaningful relationships, creative work, and personal values tends to produce lasting happiness. Freedom to simply consume endlessly, choosing between hundreds of products or entertainment options, tends to produce only temporary satisfaction.
Simple, bounded freedom exercised with intention. I am going to write that down. Now let's do a quick and fun quiz for our listeners. I will give a definition, and Mark will tell us the correct word or phrase. Listeners, try to answer before Mark speaks. First, this is the freedom to say what you think without punishment. What is the correct term in English? Think about it. We talked about this earlier in today's episode. It's one of the most fundamental freedoms in a democratic society, and it's protected by law in many countries around the world. Can you remember the term?
The answer is freedom of speech. The complete phrase is freedom of speech, the right to express your opinions, ideas, and beliefs without fear of punishment. Well done to all our listeners who got it right. Let me give the next quiz question. This is the phrase we use to describe a person who has no commitments or responsibilities and is completely free. Think about it carefully. It's a fun, informal English idiom. We mentioned it earlier in the episode when we talked about freedom expressions and idioms. It has 4 words. The phrase describes someone who is free to go anywhere and do whatever they choose. It sounds a little old-fashioned, but is still used today.
The answer is footloose and fancy-free. A person who is footloose and fancy-free has no ties, no responsibilities, and is completely free to do whatever they wish. A truly free spirit. Now here is my final quiz question for our listeners. This is the name for the type of freedom that Viktor Frankl wrote about, the freedom that exists even in very difficult circumstances, inside a person's own heart and mind. It's a 2-word phrase, and we discussed it in today's episode. Even when people are physically restricted or in a very hard situation, they can still have this type of freedom. Think about your answer.
The answer is inner freedom. Viktor Frankl wrote about inner freedom, the freedom to choose your attitude, your values, and your response to any situation, no matter how difficult. Even when external circumstances are beyond our control, inner freedom remains available to everyone. This idea is profoundly hopeful and empowering. It means that true freedom is never completely taken from a person. Something essential always remains. 3 for 3 on the quiz. I hope our listeners enjoyed testing their knowledge. This topic is so rich and so important. Freedom is not just a political concept, it's something every person experiences, thinks about, and seeks in their own life every single day.
What a rich, deep, and inspiring episode this has been. I feel genuinely moved by everything we discussed today. Let me give a final summary. We talked about the many types of freedom: freedom of speech, movement, religion, and personal freedom. We discussed freedom and responsibility, financial freedom, and freedom in relationships. We explored creative freedom, the feeling of freedom in nature, and the philosophical question of absolute freedom. We talked about education as a path to freedom, technology and freedom, and great historical freedom fighters. We shared beautiful idioms and expressions about freedom, and we explored inner freedom, perhaps the most profound kind of all. Freedom is one of the most beautiful and important human values.
Thank you so much, Anna. This was one of the most meaningful and thought-provoking episodes we have ever made together. And a huge thank you to every single listener who spent this special time with us. Freedom is not something to take for granted. It is precious, complex, and worth thinking about deeply. Whether your freedom is political, personal, financial, creative, or inner, it matters. Use today's English vocabulary and phrases in your real conversations. Talk about what freedom means to you. Ask a friend what makes them feel free. Discuss the freedoms you value most. Language and freedom are connected. Every word you learn in English gives you more freedom to understand and engage.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. My name is Anna, and I am so happy you are here with us today. This podcast is made for beginner English learners, and every episode is simple, fun, and useful. Today, we have a really important and motivating topic. We're going to talk about not wasting your time. Time is the one thing we all have equally. Everyone gets 24 hours in a day, but how we use those hours makes a huge difference in our lives. I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Mark. Mark, say hello and tell us, do you ever feel like you are wasting time?
Hello. Thank you, Anna. Hi to all our wonderful listeners. Do I ever feel like I'm wasting time? Honestly, yes, sometimes. I think everyone does. But over the years, I've learned a lot about how to use time more wisely and how to recognize when I'm letting it slip away. Today, Anna and I are going to talk about what it means to waste time, why we do it, how to stop, and how to use your time in ways that make you feel happy, productive, and fulfilled. We will also give you lots of useful English vocabulary and phrases.
Let's start with the basics. What does it mean to waste time? To waste time means to spend time on things that are not useful, important, or meaningful, things that do not help you grow, achieve your goals, or make you happy. The opposite of wasting time is using time well, or spending time productively. Some useful English vocabulary for this topic: productive, doing something useful and getting good results; efficient, completing tasks with the least amount of time or effort wasted; priority, something that is more important than other things; procrastinate, to delay doing something, especially something you should do.
Great vocabulary to start with. The most common ways people waste time are quite relatable. Scrolling endlessly through social media, watching videos and reading posts without any clear purpose, sometimes for hours. Watching TV programs you do not even really enjoy just because the TV is on. Doing small, easy tasks to avoid a bigger, more difficult one. This is called procrastination. Saying yes to things you do not want to do and spending time on other people's priorities instead of your own. Overthinking, spending so much time worrying about decisions that you never actually make them. And waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect conditions before starting something important.
Waiting for the perfect moment. I definitely recognize that one. Now let's talk about why we waste time, because understanding the reason is the first step to changing the habit. There are several common reasons. First, fear. When we are afraid of failure or of not doing something perfectly, we avoid starting. Second, lack of clear goals. If you do not know what you want to achieve, it is very easy to fill your time with unimportant activities. Third, low energy. When we are tired, we tend to choose easy, passive activities rather than meaningful ones. Fourth, distractions. Our phones, notifications, and the internet are designed to grab and hold our attention.
The psychology of wasting time is very interesting.
One important reason is what psychologists call instant gratification, choosing something that feels good right now even if it doesn't help you long term. Watching a funny video feels good instantly. Working on a difficult project feels hard now but rewarding later. Our brains are naturally attracted to the easy, immediate reward. Another reason is mental fatigue. When your brain is tired from working hard, it seeks rest through distraction rather than productive rest. Also, lack of structure means without a plan or routine, time easily disappears. And finally, some people waste time because they are simply not aware of how much time they are losing.
Tracking your time? That sounds both scary and extremely useful. Now let's talk about the phrase, "don't waste your time," more directly. This phrase can be used in different ways in English. Sometimes we say it as encouragement. Don't waste your time worrying about things you cannot change. Sometimes we say it as advice. Don't waste your time with people who do not appreciate you. And sometimes we say it to warn someone, don't waste your time on that project, it will never work. The phrase is very flexible and comes up in many different conversations. Mark, can you give our listeners more examples of how we use this phrase naturally in everyday English conversations?
Sure, here are many natural examples of don't waste your time in everyday use. Don't waste your time watching that show. It is really not good. Don't waste your time explaining it to him. He has already made up his mind. I realized I was wasting my time at that job. He was going nowhere. Stop wasting time on social media and do your homework. She doesn't waste any time. She always gets straight to the point. This is actually a compliment, meaning she's very efficient. I wasted 2 hours trying to fix it, and it wasn't even necessary. Every minute you waste worrying is a minute you could spend doing.
Those examples are perfect. I especially love "she gets straight to the point." What a great compliment for an efficient person. Now, let's talk about time management, because this is one of the most important skills for not wasting time. Time management means planning and controlling how you spend your hours to make sure you achieve your goals and priorities. Some key time management strategies: making a to-do list, writing down everything you need to do, setting priorities, deciding which tasks are most important and doing those first, using a schedule or planner, assigning specific times to specific tasks, breaking large tasks into small steps so they feel less overwhelming.
Yes, time management is something I think about every day. My personal system is quite simple. Every evening, I write a short list of the 3 most important things I want to achieve the next day. Just 3, not 20. Keeping the list short forces me to think carefully about what really matters. In the morning, I do the most difficult or most important task first, before I check emails or social media. This is called eating the frog, doing the hardest thing first so everything else feels easy afterward. I also use a simple timer technique, working for 25 minutes without distraction, then taking a 5-minute break. This is called the Pomodoro technique.
Eating the frog. What a vivid and memorable phrase. Now, let's talk about the difference between being busy and being productive, because these are not the same thing. Many people are very busy all day, but do not actually achieve much that is truly important or meaningful. Being busy means your time is full of activity. Being productive means your activity is leading to real results and progress toward your goals. In English, we have a useful expression, working smarter, not harder. This means focusing your effort on the things that actually matter, rather than filling your day with tasks that keep you busy but do not move you forward.
The difference is so important. Here is a clear example. Imagine 2 students. Student A studies for 5 hours, but spends most of that time looking at her phone, reorganizing her notes, and making her workspace look nice. She feels very busy, but she does not learn much. Student B studies for 2 hours with complete focus, no phone, clear goals, active reading. She feels less busy, but she learns much more. Student B is productive. Student A is just busy. Another example. A person who attends many meetings at work all day long might feel very busy, but if those meetings do not lead to decisions or progress, they are not productive.
Am I making progress toward what actually matters to me? What a powerful question to ask yourself. Now, let's talk about procrastination in more detail, because this is one of the biggest reasons people waste time. Procrastination means delaying or postponing tasks, especially important ones, in favor of easier or more enjoyable activities. Almost everyone procrastinates sometimes, but chronic procrastination, doing it all the time, can seriously harm your productivity, your career, and even your mental health. The feeling of having unfinished tasks hanging over you is very stressful. In English, common procrastination phrases include, "I will do it later," "I will start tomorrow," "I'm not in the mood right now," "I will wait until..."
Procrastination is such a common struggle. The main reason people procrastinate is that the task feels uncomfortable, too difficult, too boring, too overwhelming, or too connected to a fear of failure or judgment. The brain avoids discomfort instinctively. The trick is to make starting easier, not finishing. The hardest part of any task is almost always the beginning, so one powerful strategy is commit to doing just 2 minutes of the task, just 2 minutes. Often, once you start, momentum builds and you continue naturally. Another strategy is to remove temptations. Put your phone in another room, close unnecessary browser tabs, and create a distraction-free environment. And remind yourself how good it feels to finish something.
Commit to just 2 minutes. Such a clever and practical strategy. Just starting is often the hardest part, and once you begin, it becomes much easier to continue. Now, let's talk about something many people find difficult: saying no. One of the biggest ways people waste time is by saying yes to things they do not want to do, helping with tasks that are not their responsibility, attending events they don't enjoy, or taking on extra work when they are already too busy. Learning to say no kindly but clearly is an essential skill for protecting your time.
Saying no is a skill that takes practice, but it gets easier. Here are some natural, polite ways to say no. "I really appreciate you thinking of me, but I can't commit to that right now." "I'm sorry, I already have plans." "That sounds interesting, but it's not the right time for me." "I need to protect my time at the moment." "I'm going to have to pass on this one, but thank you." An important mindset shift is remembering that every time you say yes to something you don't want to do, you are saying no to something you do. Your time and energy are limited and valuable.
If it is not a clear yes, it is a no. I love that rule. Now, let's talk about the role of habits in time management, because our daily habits have an enormous impact on how productively we use our time. A habit is something you do regularly, almost automatically without thinking. Good habits, like waking up early, exercising in the morning, or spending the first hour of your day on important work, save time and build consistency. Bad habits, like checking your phone first thing in the morning, staying up too late, or skipping planned tasks, waste time and reduce your energy.
My most important time-protecting habit is my morning routine. I wake up at the same time every day, no snoozing the alarm. The first 30 minutes of my morning are screen-free. I drink water, stretch gently, and think about what I want to achieve that day. This calm, intentional start sets a positive tone for the whole day. Another important habit, I batch similar tasks together. For example, I check and reply to all emails at specific times, not constantly throughout the day. Constantly checking emails and messages is one of the biggest time wasters in modern life.
Screen-free mornings and batching tasks, both such practical and effective habits. Now let's talk about distractions, because distractions are one of the greatest enemies of good time use in the modern world. A distraction is anything that takes your attention away from what you are supposed to be doing. In today's world, the biggest distractions are smartphones, especially social media apps and notifications, the internet, easy to start browsing for one thing and find yourself reading something completely unrelated 30 minutes later, television, background noise and interruptions from other people, and our own wandering thoughts. Research shows that after a distraction, it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully return to a focused state.
Managing distractions is something I work on constantly. My most effective strategies? First, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb mode when I need to focus, or I physically leave it in another room. Out of sight really does mean out of mind. Second, I use website blocking apps during work sessions. These prevent me from visiting distracting sites like social media. Third, I communicate my focus time to the people around me, letting them know I need uninterrupted time so they do not disturb me unnecessarily. Fourth, I work in blocks of focus time with short breaks so my brain gets scheduled rest rather than seeking distraction randomly.
A distraction list for random thoughts, that is genius. Writing ideas down instead of chasing them in your head keeps you focused and does not lose the thought. Now, let's talk about social media and screen time specifically, because this is probably the most common time waster for people today. Research shows that the average person spends about 6 to 7 hours per day looking at screens, phones, computers, and televisions. Social media platforms are specifically designed to keep you scrolling as long as possible, using psychology to trigger dopamine, the brain's pleasure chemical, with every notification, like, and new post.
My relationship with social media has changed a lot over the years. I used to scroll mindlessly for long periods and feel vaguely empty afterward. Now I approach it much more intentionally. I deleted most social media apps from my phone and only access them on my computer at specific limited times. I set a daily 30-minute limit for social media, enough to stay connected without losing hours. I also regularly ask myself, is this adding value to my life or am I just passing time? If the honest answer is the second one, I put the phone down.
The feeling without the substance. That is such a powerful and honest description of mindless scrolling. Now let's talk about the value of rest and leisure, because not all non-productive time is wasted time. This is a really important distinction. Rest is necessary and healthy. Your brain and body need recovery time to function well. Leisure activities that bring you joy, reading, cooking, spending time with loved ones, walking in nature, are not wasted time at all. They restore your energy, nurture your creativity, and contribute to your overall well-being and happiness. The key difference is intentionality. Choosing to relax and enjoy yourself is very different from mindlessly drifting from one distraction to another.
Restorative rest is so important and so different from passive time wasting. Here's the distinction I use. Genuine rest leaves you feeling refreshed, energized, and ready to engage with life again. True leisure activities are ones you actively choose because they bring you real joy or restoration. For me, restorative activities include sleeping 8 hours and taking short walks, reading books that genuinely interest me, cooking a new recipe, having meaningful conversations with friends, spending time in nature, and doing absolutely nothing, sitting quietly, thinking, watching the world. What does not restore me? Scrolling social media, watching TV I'm not truly enjoying, or staying in bed beyond what my body actually needs.
After this activity, do I feel better or worse? The perfect test for genuine rest versus time wasting. Now let's talk about goals and time, because having clear goals is one of the most powerful motivators for using time well. When you know exactly what you want to achieve, it is much easier to make decisions about how to spend your time. A useful framework for setting goals is the SMART system. SMART stands for specific, clearly defined, not vague; measurable, you can track your progress; achievable, realistic, not impossible; relevant, connected to what truly matters to you; and time-bound, with a deadline.
Clear goals are transformative for time management. When you have a specific goal with a deadline, every day becomes clearer. You can look at any activity and ask, does this bring me closer to my goal or does it not? If the answer is no, you can choose to spend less time on it. Goals also create motivation and momentum. Progress toward a meaningful goal feels very different from just being busy. Even small daily progress builds confidence and energy. For language learners especially, having a clear goal like, I want to hold a 5-minute conversation in English by the end of this month is so much more motivating and actionable than just, I want to improve my eng.
time as a tool for building the life you want. What a beautiful way to think about it. Now, let's do a fun quiz for our listeners. I will describe a situation, and Mark will say whether this person is wasting time or using their time well, and why. Ready? Situation 1. Maria has a big exam in 3 days. She sits down to study, but first spends 20 minutes tidying her desk, sharpening all her pencils, organizing her notes by color, and making a cup of tea. Then she checks her phone briefly. Then she thinks about what to study first. After an hour, she has not actually studied anything. Listeners, what do you think?
Maria is definitely wasting her time, in a very common and recognizable way. What Maria is doing is called productive procrastination, doing tasks that feel useful and organized, but are actually just ways of avoiding the real task, which is studying. Tidying her desk and color-coding her notes feel productive, but they are not the priority right now. The exam is the priority. This pattern is very common because our brains like to do easy, satisfying tasks to avoid the more difficult but more important one. The solution for Maria: set a timer for 25 minutes, open the textbook to the first topic and begin, even if she does not feel completely ready.
Starting imperfectly is always better than waiting perfectly and never beginning. Perfect advice for Maria and for all of us. Now, situation 2 for our quiz. James finishes work at 6 in the evening. He comes home, changes his clothes, and goes for a 30-minute run. Then he cooks a simple dinner while listening to an English podcast. After dinner, he reads a book for 45 minutes. Then he calls his mother for 20 minutes. At 9:30, he puts his phone away and goes to bed at 10:30. Listeners, is James wasting his time? Think about it. His evening seems full of activities, but are they meaningful? Mark, what is your verdict this time?
James is absolutely using his time beautifully. Every activity in his evening is intentional and restorative. Exercise, excellent for physical and mental health. Cooking while listening to a podcast, multitasking in a genuinely useful way, enjoying a skill and learning at the same time. Reading, personal growth, and genuine relaxation. Calling his mother, maintaining an important relationship, and going to bed at a reasonable hour, protecting his sleep and energy for tomorrow. None of these activities is passive or mindless. James is choosing activities that serve his health, his learning, his relationships, and his well-being. This is the ideal evening, not because it is perfect, but because every choice is deliberate and meaningful.
James is my new role model for evenings. Now let's talk about something that many people struggle with, the fear of missing out, or FOMO. FOMO is a common modern feeling, the anxiety that other people are doing exciting things and you're missing out by not being there or not being involved. FOMO often drives people to waste enormous amounts of time on social media, checking what others are doing, attending events they do not truly want to attend, or constantly looking at their phone. The solution to FOMO is sometimes called JOMO, the joy of missing out. This means finding genuine contentment and peace in your own choices, even when others are doing something different.
FOMO is very real, and I have definitely experienced it. The turning point for me was realizing that social media only shows the highlights of people's lives, the best moments, the most exciting experiences. It's never the full picture. So comparing your ordinary Tuesday to someone else's curated holiday photos is always going to make your life seem less interesting, even when your life is actually wonderful. I now practice JOMO very deliberately. When I choose to stay home and read instead of going to a loud party, I enjoy that choice fully, rather than wondering what I'm missing.
Comparison is the thief of joy. That is one of my favorite English expressions. And presence is the antidote to FOMO. What a beautiful and wise thought. Now let's talk about the relationship between time and energy, because managing your energy is just as important as managing your time. You might have 24 hours in a day, but if you spend them exhausted and unfocused, you will not use them well. Understanding when your energy is highest, when you feel most alert, creative, and motivated, is very useful for scheduling your most important tasks at those times. For most people, energy is highest in the morning.
Energy management is something I think about a lot. I have noticed clear patterns in my own energy. My mental energy is highest in the morning. This is when I do my most creative and demanding work. I protect this time fiercely. No emails, no social media, no meetings if possible. Mid-afternoon, around 2 or 3 o'clock, my energy naturally dips. This is normal. Our bodies have a biological tendency toward a rest period in early afternoon. Instead of fighting it with caffeine, I use this time for lighter tasks, responding to emails, attending meetings, or doing administrative work. In the late afternoon, energy often rises again for several hours.
Working with your natural energy rhythms, what a smart and practical approach. Now let's give our listeners some final practical tips for not wasting time. These are simple, actionable steps they can start using immediately. Tip 1. Start each day by identifying your top 3 priorities. Tip 2. Do the most important task first before distractions begin. Tip 3. Put your phone away during focused work time. Tip 4. Use a timer. Work in focused blocks with short breaks. Tip 5. Track your time for 1 week. Write down what you do each hour. The results might surprise you. Tip 6. Learn to say no kindly but clearly.
More practical tips. Tip 8. Set specific times for checking emails and social media, not continuously throughout the day. Tip 9. Get enough sleep. A tired mind wastes far more time than a rested one. Tip 10. Remove apps from your phone that consume time without adding value. Tip 11. Plan your week on Sunday evening. Knowing your schedule reduces decision fatigue during the week. Tip 12. Stop multitasking. Research shows that doing 2 things at once means doing them both worse. Focus on one thing at a time. Tip 13. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Getting 80% of something done is far better than planning a perfect version forever.
Every hour is an hour of your one precious life. That is perhaps the most important reminder of the entire episode. Let me now give a final summary of everything we talked about today. We discussed what it means to waste time and why people do it: fear, lack of goals, distractions, and procrastination. We talked about the difference between being busy and being productive. We explored procrastination and practical strategies to overcome it. We discussed saying no, daily habits, distractions, social media, and the value of true rest. We talked about SMART goals, energy management, FOMO and JOMO, and we did a fun quiz with Maria and James.
Thank you so much, Anna. This was one of my favorite episodes. And a huge thank you to every single listener who spent this time with us today. And what an appropriate topic that is. You chose to spend time listening to this podcast, learning English, and thinking about how to live more intentionally. That is already an excellent use of your time. Take today's ideas and try just 1 or 2 of them this week. Put your phone away for 1 hour. Write your top 3 priorities tomorrow morning. Say no to one thing that does not serve you. Small changes made consistently create enormous transformations over time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. My name is Anna, and I am so glad you are here with us today. This podcast is made for beginner English learners, and every episode is simple, warm, and useful. Today, we have a very important and meaningful topic. We are going to talk about how to stay positive during hard times. Life is not always easy. Everyone goes through difficult periods: problems at work, health challenges, financial worries, or personal losses. Knowing how to stay positive during these moments is one of the most valuable skills you can have. I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Mark.
Hello, hello. Thank you, Anna. Hi to all our wonderful listeners. Yes, absolutely. Like everyone, I have been through difficult periods in my life. Times when things felt very heavy, and it was genuinely hard to find the energy or optimism to keep going. But looking back, I can honestly say that those hard times taught me the most, strengthened me the most, and ultimately led me to better places. Today, Anna and I are going to share practical strategies, useful English vocabulary, and honest, heartfelt advice about how to maintain a positive mindset when life is challenging. Whether you are going through something difficult right now or just want to be prepared, this episode is for you.
Let's start with some important vocabulary. Hard times means a difficult period in your life, when things are not going well. You might also hear tough times, a rough patch, or a difficult period. These all mean the same thing. To stay positive means to keep a good attitude and hopeful mindset, even when circumstances are difficult. Resilience is a very important word. It means the ability to recover from difficulties and keep going. A resilient person is someone who faces problems but does not give up. Mindset is the way you think about things, your mental attitude. And coping means managing and dealing with a difficult situation.
Of course, here are natural example sentences. She has been going through a really tough time since she lost her job, but she's handling it with incredible strength. He's one of the most resilient people I know. Nothing seems to keep him down for long. Having a positive mindset does not mean pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to focus on what you can control. Coping with grief takes time. There is no right or wrong way to do it. It's okay to have bad days. What matters is how you cope with them. After a rough patch, things always get better. She changed her mindset and everything started to feel more.
Those example sentences are so natural and so useful. Now let's talk about why positivity matters during hard times. When life is difficult, it is very easy to fall into negative thinking, focusing only on what is wrong, worrying about the future, and feeling helpless or hopeless. This is completely natural and human. However, research in psychology shows that people who maintain a generally positive outlook during difficult times recover faster, experience less stress, make better decisions, and have stronger immune systems and better physical health. Positivity does not mean ignoring problems or pretending to be happy when you are not. It means choosing to also notice what is good, what is possible, and what you can learn.
Positivity during hard times is important for so many reasons. First, your mindset directly affects your actions. When you feel hopeless, you stop trying. When you maintain even a small sense of hope, you keep looking for solutions. Second, positivity affects the people around you. A positive attitude is contagious and supportive to everyone in your life. Third, hard times are temporary. Every difficult period eventually ends, and maintaining positivity helps you survive until it does. The phrase, "this too shall pass," is one of the most comforting things you can say to yourself during a hard time. It means whatever you are going through right now will not last forever.
This too shall pass, one of the most comforting phrases in the English language. Now let's talk about the first and most important strategy for staying positive during hard times: accepting your feelings. Many people think that staying positive means not feeling sad, angry, afraid, or upset, but this is wrong. Trying to push away or ignore negative emotions actually makes them stronger and more persistent. Real positivity begins with acceptance, honestly acknowledging that you feel sad, angry, scared, or overwhelmed. In English, it's okay to feel this way. I'm allowed to feel sad right now. I'm going through something hard, and that's valid. Accepting how you feel without judgment is the foundation.
Accepting feelings is absolutely the foundation. Psychologists call the unhealthy practice of pushing away emotions emotional suppression, and research shows it causes more stress, not less. When you say, "I shouldn't feel this way," or "I have no reason to be upset," you're fighting your own natural human response to a real situation. This wastes enormous mental energy. Instead, name your emotion. I feel anxious. I feel sad. I feel overwhelmed. Just naming it accurately brings immediate relief. This is called name it to tame it in psychology. Accepting a feeling doesn't mean staying in it forever. It means acknowledging it honestly so you can process it and move forward.
Name it to tame it. What a wonderful and memorable phrase. Now, let's talk about the power of connection, reaching out to other people during hard times. One of the most powerful things you can do when life is difficult is to talk to someone you trust. Sharing your struggles with a good friend, family member, or counselor does not make you weak. It makes you wise and brave. In English, I needed to talk to someone. Talking about it really helped me feel better. She was there for me when I needed her most. I reached out to a friend, and it made a huge difference. Sharing the problem made it feel smaller.
Connection has been absolutely essential during every difficult period of my life. When things feel dark and overwhelming, isolating yourself, pulling away from people, makes everything harder and heavier. Reaching out, even when it feels difficult, is always the right choice. Here are some natural phrases for asking for support. I am going through a hard time and could really use some company. Can we talk? I need to process some things. I just need someone to listen. I am not looking for advice, just support. Would you be free to chat this week? And phrases for offering support. I am here for you no matter what. You do not have to go through this alone.
Human connection is medicine for the soul. Beautifully said. Now, let's talk about gratitude, because practicing gratitude during hard times is one of the most researched and most effective positivity strategies available. It might sound strange. How can you feel grateful when things are going badly? But gratitude during hard times does not mean being glad that bad things are happening. It means intentionally noticing what is still good, still present, and still working in your life, even when something else is very difficult. Research shows that writing down 3 things you are grateful for every day, even very small things, significantly increases happiness and reduces stress over time.
Gratitude practice during hard times is something I return to again and again. When things are difficult, I force myself to notice even the tiniest good things. The warmth of a cup of tea, a kind text from a friend, sunlight through a window, the fact that I am breathing and alive. These small things can feel almost irrelevant next to a big problem, but noticing them reconnects you to the reality that life still contains beauty and goodness even in difficult moments. I write in a gratitude journal every evening, just 3 short lines. On hard days, I allow myself to write very simple things. I am grateful for my warm bed. I am grateful that today I had money for food. I am grateful that I had a friend who listened.
Small gratitude is still powerful gratitude. I love that. Now, let's talk about the importance of routine during hard times, because when life feels out of control, having a simple daily routine creates a sense of structure, stability, and predictability that is genuinely comforting. When everything around you feels uncertain or painful, the small, familiar rituals of daily life become anchors. Making your bed in the morning, having your usual cup of coffee, going for a short walk at the same time each day, preparing a simple meal. These small acts of routine remind you that you still have agency, the power to act and choose, even when the bigger circumstances are out of your hands.
Routine has saved me during hard times. When I went through a particularly difficult period a few years ago, everything felt chaotic and uncertain. The one thing that helped me most was maintaining my daily routine, even a very simple one. Waking up at the same time, making breakfast, going outside for 20 minutes. These small acts felt almost too simple to matter, but they mattered enormously. They told me that I was still here, still capable, still moving. A useful phrase for this is just keep putting one foot in front of the other. It means keep doing the next small thing even when the big picture feels overwhelming. You do not need to solve everything today.
One foot in front of the other and one day at a time, 2 of the most comforting English phrases for hard times. Now let's talk about the importance of physical health and positivity, because how you treat your body during hard times directly affects how you feel mentally and emotionally.
When life is difficult, many people either stop eating well, stop sleeping properly, or stop exercising, sometimes doing all three at once. But this is exactly the wrong response. Your body and your mind are deeply connected. When you are physically depleted, your emotional resilience drops significantly. Simple physical self-care acts become especially important during difficult times. Drinking enough water, eating regular, nutritious meals, sleeping as much as possible.
Physical habits were genuinely life-saving during hard times. Here's what I held on to. Sleep first. Even when my mind was racing and anxious, I prioritized lying down, resting, and giving my body recovery time. Poor sleep makes every problem feel 10 times worse. Walking outside, second. Even a 15-minute walk changed my emotional state significantly. Something about movement, fresh air, and natural light is incredibly healing for the anxious or sad mind. Eating something nourishing. Even when appetite is low, eating simple, real food keeps your energy and mood more stable. And reducing alcohol. People often drink more during hard times, but alcohol is a depressant and makes emotional lows much lower.
Looking after yourself is radical during hard times. That is so true. Now let's talk about the power of perspective. Perspective means how you see and interpret a situation. The same event can look very different depending on how you look at it. During hard times, our perspective often narrows. We see only the problem, only the pain, only what is lost. But consciously shifting perspective, choosing to look at the situation from a different angle, can be genuinely transformative. Some useful questions for shifting perspective: will this matter in 5 years? What can I learn from this experience? How have I grown from difficult things in the past? Is there any positive that could...
Perspective is one of the most powerful tools we have, and it genuinely takes practice. A technique I use is called zooming out, stepping back mentally from the immediate difficulty and seeing it in a bigger context. For example, if I lose a job, the immediate feeling is panic and failure. But zoomed out, many people have lost jobs and found better ones. This could open a new door. My worth is not my job. This is one chapter, not the whole story. Another technique is what psychologists call post-traumatic growth, the real phenomenon where people often discover new strengths, deeper relationships, and clearer values as a result of going through hard experiences.
What does not kill you makes you stronger is such a famous English expression. Now let's talk about limiting the news and negative information during hard times. When you are already struggling emotionally, consuming large amounts of negative news, social media, or toxic conversations can make your mental state significantly worse. In English, we have the phrase garbage in, garbage out, meaning that the information you put into your mind affects what comes out. If you fill your mind with fear and negativity, you will feel fearful and negative. During hard times especially, it is important to be mindful of what information you allow into your mental space.
Managing information input is so important during hard times. Here's what I do. First, I check the news once a day, not constantly throughout the day. Constant news creates constant anxiety without adding much extra knowledge. Second, I limit or pause social media during difficult periods. Seeing other people's highlight reels when you are struggling is genuinely harmful to your mental state. Third, I'm selective about what conversations I have and with whom. During hard times, I prioritize conversations with supportive, kind, and constructive people, and limit time with those who are negative or draining.
Curating your information environment? What a smart and modern concept. Now let's talk about something very powerful: helping others. It might seem counterintuitive. When you are struggling yourself, why would you help others? But research consistently shows that acts of kindness and helping others during your own hard times is one of the most effective ways to boost your own well-being. When you focus on someone else's needs, even briefly, it shifts your perspective away from your own pain. It reminds you that you still have something to give. It creates a feeling of purpose and connection. In English, helping someone else helped me feel better too. Being useful to someone gave me a reason to get.
Yes, very powerfully. During one of the most challenging periods of my life, I started volunteering at a local charity once a week. My own problems felt overwhelming, but for a few hours each week, I focused entirely on helping others in different but equally real situations. The effect was remarkable. When I left each week, my own problems felt slightly lighter, not because they had changed, but because my perspective had. I was reminded that pain is universal, that kindness matters, and that I was still capable and still useful. There's also a beautiful chemical explanation. Helping others triggers the release of serotonin and oxytocin, brain chemicals associated with happiness and connection.
A small act of kindness is good for the giver as much as the receiver. So beautifully true. Now let's talk about professional help, because sometimes hard times are very serious and the strategies we have discussed on their own are not enough. There is absolutely no shame in seeking professional support during difficult times. Seeing a therapist, counselor, or psychologist is a sign of wisdom and courage, not weakness. Mental health is just as real and important as physical health. If you had a broken leg, you would see a doctor. Emotional pain deserves the same care and attention.
Professional support is something I feel very strongly about. Therapy and counseling have helped millions of people navigate genuinely difficult life experiences: grief, trauma, anxiety, depression, relationship difficulties, and many more. There is still some stigma around mental health support in many cultures, the idea that needing help means you're not strong enough. But I think the opposite is true. Recognizing that you need help and actively seeking it is one of the strongest things a person can do. In English, we now commonly say, "I'm in therapy," the same way we might say, "I go to the gym," without embarrassment or apology. Mental health care is self-care.
I am in therapy the same way I say I go to the gym. I love that normalization. Now let's do a quiz for our listeners. I will describe someone going through a hard time and how they are coping, and Mark will say whether their approach is helpful or unhelpful and why. Ready? Here is the first situation. Lisa has just lost her job. She feels very sad and scared. She calls her best friend and says, "I need to talk. I am going through something hard." Her friend comes over and just listens for an hour. Lisa cries. She feels a little better afterward. Mark, is Lisa coping well with this situation?
Lisa is coping really well. Let me explain what she is doing right. First, she acknowledged her feelings. She did not pretend to be fine or push her emotions away. She allowed herself to feel sad and scared, which is healthy. Second, she reached out for connection. She called a friend instead of isolating herself. This took courage. Third, she was specific about what she needed. She said, "I need to talk," which is clear and honest communication. Fourth, she allowed herself to cry. Emotional release is healthy and physically beneficial. And fifth, she noticed that she felt better afterward. She's paying attention to what helps her cope.
Excellent analysis of Lisa's situation. Now let's look at the second quiz scenario. This one is quite different. James has been going through serious financial difficulties for several months now. Instead of talking to anyone about it, he stays at home completely alone every evening, watches negative news for hours, stops exercising sometimes, and drinks more alcohol than usual to cope. He tells himself he just needs to figure it all out on his own. He feels worse every single week. Mark, what exactly is James doing wrong, and what specific changes would you recommend for him to start feeling better?
Poor James. He is making several common but harmful mistakes. First, isolating himself. Going through hard times alone makes everything heavier. He needs connection. Second, consuming negative news for hours. This amplifies anxiety without helping. He should limit news to once a day. Third, stopping exercise and skipping meals. Physically depleting himself is making his emotional state much worse. Fourth, drinking more alcohol. This is a depressant that will deepen his lows significantly. And fifth, the figure-it-out-alone mentality. Pride is stopping him from getting help he genuinely needs. My specific recommendations: call one trusted friend today, go for one walk outside, eat one proper meal, turn off the news.
Perfect advice for James. Small steps in the right direction make a huge difference over time. Now, I want to share some beautiful and comforting English phrases that you can say to yourself or to someone else during hard times. These are phrases that bring comfort, hope, and perspective. You are stronger than you think. This will not last forever. You have survived hard things before. One day at a time. It is okay to not be okay. You are not alone in this. Better days are coming. You are doing the best you can. This is a chapter, not your whole story. And one of my personal favorites, after the storm comes the rainbow. Mark, what are your favorites?
I love this collection. Here are some more of my favorites. Every day may not be good, but there is something good in every day, reminding us to look for small lights even in dark times. Tough times never last, but tough people do. Very empowering and motivating. Fall 7 times, stand up 8. The Japanese proverb, meaning resilience is about getting up one more time than you fall. The darkest hour is just before dawn. When things seem at their worst, improvement may be very close. You cannot pour from an empty cup, reminding us to take care of ourselves. Everything will be all right in the end.
If it is not okay, it is not the end. I think that might be the most comforting sentence in the English language. Now, let's talk about something that many people overlook during hard times. Rest. Real rest. When life is difficult, many people feel guilty about resting. They feel they should be doing something, fixing something, or working harder to solve the problem. But rest is not laziness during hard times. Rest is medicine. Rest is recovery. When you are carrying emotional or physical weight, your body and mind need extra recovery time, not less. In English, I need to rest and recover. Give yourself permission to rest. Rest is productive. You cannot pour from an empty cup.
Giving myself permission to rest during hard times is something I have had to actively learn. It did not come naturally. My mind used to say, resting is wasting time when things are hard. You should be solving the problem. But I've learned that rest is essential, not optional, during difficult periods. Here's how I give myself genuine permission. First, I remind myself that a rested mind thinks more clearly and solves problems better than an exhausted one. Second, I reframe rest as an active choice, not a passive failure. I'm choosing to rest so I can face tomorrow better. Feels very different from I'm giving up for today. And third, I make rest intentional.
Rest with intention is genuinely restorative. I love how you reframe it as an active, positive choice. Now let's talk about creativity and expression as tools for staying positive. Many people find that engaging in creative activities during hard times is incredibly helpful, not to produce perfect work, but to express what is inside and process difficult emotions. Writing in a journal, drawing or painting, playing music, dancing, cooking a new recipe, gardening. These activities get you out of your head and into your hands. They create something, even when life feels like it is taking things away.
Creativity has been a significant source of healing for me during difficult periods. Writing, especially, keeping a journal during hard times, allows me to externalize the thoughts that would otherwise circle endlessly in my mind. Getting thoughts onto paper makes them more manageable and more clearly visible. I can see patterns, question them, and release them more easily when they are written down rather than trapped in my head. I also play the guitar sometimes, not professionally, just for myself. Playing music is one of the few activities that fully absorbs my attention and gives my worried mind a complete rest.
Lose yourself in something. Such a perfect expression for creative immersion. Now let's talk about hope, because hope is perhaps the most essential ingredient for staying positive during hard times. Hope is the belief that things can and will get better, that the current situation is not permanent, and that good things are still possible in the future. In English, hope-related phrases include, I have not given up hope. There is still reason to hope. I believe things will get better. Hold on, better days are coming. Never lose hope. Hope does not mean being naive or ignoring reality. It means maintaining a genuine belief in the possibility of positive change.
Holding on to hope during dark times is something I do very deliberately. Several things help me. First, evidence from the past. I remind myself of previous hard times I survived and eventually moved through. If I did it before, I can do it again. Second, small improvements. Even on the darkest days, there are usually tiny signs of progress or small good moments. I look for these actively. Third, other people's stories. Reading or hearing about people who survived very difficult situations and found joy and meaning again is genuinely inspiring. Fourth, the simple passage of time. Every day that passes is a day further from the beginning of the difficulty and closer to its end.
Hope is the light in the darkness. What a beautiful and true image. Now let's give our listeners a final practical toolkit for staying positive during hard times. A simple list of strategies they can use immediately. Strategy 1, accept your feelings without judgment. Strategy 2, reach out to someone you trust. Do not isolate. Strategy 3, practice daily gratitude, even just 3 small things. Strategy 4, maintain a simple daily routine. Strategy 5, take care of your physical body. Sleep, water, movement, food. Strategy 6, shift your perspective. Ask, what can I learn? Strategy 7, limit negative information and curate your mental environment.
Continuing the toolkit. Strategy 10, use creativity and expression. Write, draw, play, create. Strategy 11, hold on to hope, even the smallest kind. Strategy 12, seek professional support if needed. There is no shame in this. Strategy 13, remind yourself that this is temporary. This too shall pass. Strategy 14, find meaning. Ask yourself what this experience might be teaching you or building in you. Strategy 15, be gentle with yourself. Do not add self-criticism to an already heavy load. And strategy 16, celebrate small victories. Getting through a hard day is a real achievement worth acknowledging.
What a comprehensive and compassionate toolkit. I feel genuinely comforted just reading through that list. Let me now give a final summary of today's episode. We talked about what positivity during hard times really means, not pretending to be happy, but choosing to also notice what is good and possible. We discussed accepting feelings, the power of connection, gratitude practice, and the importance of routine. We talked about physical health, perspective, managing information, and helping others. We explored professional support, rest, creativity, hope, and comforting English phrases. We did a quiz about Lisa and James, and we built a complete 16-step toolkit for staying positive during hard times. Thank you so much to every listener who joined us today.
Thank you so much, Anna. This was one of the most meaningful episodes we have ever created. And a very big thank you to every single listener who was here with us today. If you are going through a hard time right now, I want to say directly to you, I am proud of you for still showing up, still learning, still trying. That takes real courage. Hard times are part of every human life. They do not make you broken, they make you human, and they will pass. Use the strategies we shared today. Reach out to someone. Be kind to yourself. Hold on to hope.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. My name is Anna, and I am so happy you are here with us today. This podcast is made for beginner English learners, and every episode is simple, fun, and useful. Today, we have a really important topic. We are going to talk about health. Health is one of the most important things in our lives, and we talk about it every day in English. How do you feel? What do you eat? Do you exercise? These are all very common questions. I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Mark. Mark, say hello and tell us, how is your health these days?
Hello, hello. Thank you, Anna. Hi to all our fantastic listeners.
How is my health? I am happy to say I feel great. I have been making good choices lately, sleeping well, exercising regularly, and eating more vegetables. Today's topic is really important because your health affects every single part of your life. When you feel good, everything is better. Your mood, your work, your relationships. Anna and I are going to talk about different aspects of health: healthy eating, exercise, sleep, mental health, and much more. We will also give you lots of useful English vocabulary and phrases. By the end of this episode, you will be able to talk about health confidently. Let's begin.
Okay, so let's start with a very basic question. What does health mean? Health means the condition of your body and your mind. When we say someone is healthy, we mean their body and mind are working well and they feel good. The World Health Organization defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. That means health is not just about your body, it is also about how you feel emotionally and how you connect with other people. In English, we have a common saying, health is wealth. This means good health is the most valuable thing you can have. Mark, can you give our listeners some simple ways to say how you feel in English?
Sure, here are some common and useful phrases for talking about how you feel. I feel great. You feel very good. I feel fine. You feel okay, not bad. I do not feel well. Something is wrong with you. I feel under the weather. This is a common idiom meaning you feel slightly sick. I have a cold, a common illness with a runny nose and sore throat. I have a headache, pain in your head. My back hurts. You have pain in your back. I feel tired. You lack energy. I feel energetic. You have a lot of energy. I feel stressed. You feel worried and under pressure. These simple phrases are used all the time in everyday English conversations about health.
Those phrases are so useful. I feel under the weather is one I hear all the time. Now, let's talk about healthy eating, because food is one of the most important things for our health. The food you eat gives your body energy and the nutrients it needs to function properly. Nutrients are things like vitamins, minerals, protein, carbohydrates, and fats, all essential for a healthy body. A balanced diet means eating a variety of different foods in the right amounts. Fruits and vegetables are especially important. Health experts recommend eating at least 5 portions of fruit and vegetables every day. Mark, what does a healthy diet look like? Can you describe what you eat in a typical day?
A healthy diet varies from person to person, but the general principles are similar for everyone. In a typical healthy day, I try to eat 3 balanced meals. For breakfast, I usually have oatmeal with fruit and a cup of green tea. For lunch, I often make a salad with protein, like chicken, eggs, or beans, plus plenty of vegetables. For dinner, I try to have a balanced plate: half vegetables, a quarter protein, like fish or lean meat, and a quarter whole grains, like brown rice or quinoa. I drink lots of water throughout the day, at least 8 glasses. I also try to limit sugary drinks, processed foods, and too much salt. Eating mindfully and not rushing helps too.
That sounds like a really healthy and balanced diet. Now, let's talk about some specific healthy foods and what makes them good for your body. Fruits and vegetables are full of vitamins and minerals that protect against disease. Whole grains like brown rice, oats, and whole wheat bread give you lasting energy. Protein foods like chicken, fish, eggs, beans, and nuts help build and repair your muscles. Healthy fats found in avocado, nuts, and olive oil are good for your heart and brain. And dairy products, or dairy alternatives like plant-based milk, provide calcium for strong bones. Mark, are there any foods you think are especially important for good health? Any superfoods you particularly recommend?
I love the concept of superfoods. Some of my favorites: blueberries, tiny but packed with antioxidants which protect your body from damage. Spinach, a leafy green vegetable rich in iron, vitamins A, C, and K. Salmon, an excellent source of omega-3 fatty acids, which are wonderful for brain and heart health. Garlic,
has natural antibacterial and immune-boosting properties. Eggs, a complete protein source with many essential vitamins. Walnuts, great for brain health because of their healthy fats. And sweet potatoes, rich in beta-carotene, which your body converts to vitamin A, important for eye health and immunity. The key is not to eat just one or two superfoods, but to eat a wide variety of colorful, natural whole foods every day.
Blueberries, spinach, salmon, eggs, walnuts, such a wonderful list. Now let's talk about foods and habits that are not so good for our health, because understanding what to avoid is just as important as knowing what to eat. Some things to limit or avoid. Sugary drinks like soda and juice, they have a lot of sugar but almost no nutritional value. Ultra-processed foods like chips, packaged cookies, and instant noodles, these often contain unhealthy fats, too much salt, and artificial additives. Too much red and processed meat linked to higher risk of heart disease and certain cancers, and too much alcohol. This damages the liver and many other organs. Mark, what other unhealthy habits affect people's health?
Beyond food, there are many other unhealthy habits to be aware of. Smoking is one of the most harmful things you can do to your health. It causes lung cancer, heart disease, and many other serious conditions. Sitting for too long without moving is also bad, called sitting disease by some experts. It is linked to obesity, diabetes, and heart problems. Getting too little sleep weakens your immune system and affects mental health. Eating too late at night disrupts your digestion and sleep quality. Skipping breakfast is a habit that can lead to overeating later. And high stress levels without proper management can cause serious long-term health problems. Being aware of these habits is the first step towards changing them for better health outcomes.
Smoking and sitting too much, both such important points. Now let's talk about exercise, because physical activity is one of the most powerful things you can do for your health. Regular exercise helps control your weight, strengthens your heart, builds muscles and bones, improves your mood, and reduces the risk of many diseases. The World Health Organization recommends that adults do at least 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week. That is about 30 minutes 5 days a week. Moderate exercise means things like walking briskly, cycling, swimming, or dancing. Activities that raise your heart rate but still allow you to hold a conversation. Mark, do you exercise regularly? What kind of exercise do you do?
Yes, I exercise regularly and I really enjoy it. My main activities are running and cycling. I run 3 times a week, usually 30 to 40 minutes per session. I find running incredibly good for both my body and my mind. After a good run, I always feel clear-headed and positive. On weekends, I like to go for longer cycle rides in the countryside. I also do some strength training twice a week, exercises using weights or my own body weight to build muscle strength. And I try to walk as much as possible in daily life, taking the stairs instead of the lift, walking to the shops, and taking short walks during lunch breaks. Even small amounts of movement throughout the day add up.
Running, cycling, strength training, and walking more in daily life. What a great combination. Now let's talk about some simple types of exercise for our listeners who are just starting out. You do not need a gym or special equipment to be more active. Walking is the simplest and most accessible form of exercise. It's free, you can do it anywhere, and it's gentle on your joints. Swimming is another excellent whole-body exercise that is kind to your joints. Yoga improves flexibility, strength, and mental calmness. Dancing is fun and a great workout. And home exercises like squats, push-ups, and planks require no equipment at all. Mark, what advice would you give to someone who wants to start exercising but doesn't know where to begin?
Great question. My top advice for beginners, start very small and be consistent. Do not try to do too much on the first day. You'll feel exhausted and discouraged. Start with just 10 or 15 minutes of walking every day. Then gradually increase the time and intensity. Find an activity you genuinely enjoy. If you love dancing, dance. If you love being in nature, hike or walk in the park. Enjoyment is the key to consistency. Set small, achievable goals, like walking for 20 minutes every day this week. Get a partner. Exercising with a friend makes it much more fun and helps you stay motivated. And remember, Any movement is better than no movement. Even small daily habits transform your health over time.
Any movement is better than no movement. I love that. Now let's talk about sleep, because sleep is one of the most underrated aspects of health. Most adults need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep per night. During sleep, your body repairs itself, muscles heal, the brain processes information and forms memories, and the immune system strengthens. Poor sleep has serious effects. It weakens your immune system, increases stress hormones, impairs concentration and memory, and is linked to obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Yet many people treat sleep as a luxury rather than a necessity. Mark, do you get enough sleep? And do you have any good habits for improving sleep quality?
Sleep is something I take very seriously now. I aim for about 8 hours every night. Some habits that have really improved my sleep quality: I go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, including weekends. This trains your body clock. I avoid screens, phone, computer, television for at least an hour before bed. The blue light from screens disrupts the production of melatonin, the hormone that helps you feel sleepy. I keep my bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. I avoid caffeine after 3 in the afternoon. Coffee and tea can stay in your system for many hours. And I have a relaxing bedtime routine. I read a book, have herbal tea, and do some gentle stretching. Good sleep really changes everything.
Avoiding screens before bed is such important advice. Now let's talk about mental health, because it is just as important as physical health. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and behave. Common mental health challenges include anxiety, feeling very worried and nervous, and depression, which involves persistent feelings of sadness and loss of interest. Stress is also a very common mental health issue in modern life. In English, there are some important phrases for talking about mental health. I am feeling anxious. I have been feeling down lately. I need to talk to someone. Mark, why do you think mental health is so important to discuss openly?
Mental health is incredibly important, and I'm glad we are talking about it. For a long time, mental health was a taboo subject. People did not talk about it because they felt ashamed or weak. But the truth is that mental health problems are very common. 1 in 4 people will experience a mental health issue at some point in their life. Talking openly about mental health reduces stigma. That is the negative judgment that stops people from seeking help. When we normalize these conversations, more people feel comfortable asking for support. Mental health affects everything: your relationships, your work, your physical health, and your quality of life. Taking care of your mind is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of wisdom and self-awareness.
Taking care of your mind is a sign of wisdom. Beautifully said. Now let's talk about some practical ways to take care of your mental health. First, connect with people you care about. Strong social relationships are one of the most powerful protectors of mental health. Talk to friends and family regularly. Second, get regular physical exercise. It is proven to reduce anxiety and depression. Third, spend time in nature whenever possible. Even a short walk in a park can improve your mood significantly. Fourth, practice gratitude. Write down 3 things you are thankful for every day. Fifth, get enough sleep. And sixth, if you are struggling, seek professional help. Talking to a therapist or counselor is a sign of strength. Mark, what do you do for your mental health?
For my mental health, I have several practices that really help. First, I exercise regularly, as we discussed. It is fantastic for mood. Second, I meditate for 10 to 15 minutes every morning. Meditation simply means sitting quietly and focusing on your breathing. It sounds simple, but the effect on stress and anxiety is significant. Third, I spend time in nature whenever possible. I find it genuinely calming and restorative. Fourth, I maintain strong friendships and make time for the people I care about. Fifth, I journal. Writing down my thoughts and feelings helps me process them clearly. And sixth, I try to limit news and social media consumption, especially in the evening. A positive digital environment supports mental health enormously.
Meditation and journaling, 2 wonderful practices. Now let's talk about something very practical: how to talk to a doctor in English. Many of our listeners may need to visit a doctor in an English-speaking country, so knowing the right phrases is very important. When you describe your symptoms, the signs that you are sick, you might say, I have had a fever for 2 days. I have a sore throat and a cough. My stomach hurts. I have been feeling dizzy. I cannot sleep. I feel very tired all the time. The doctor will ask questions like, how long have you had this? On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is the pain? Mark, what other doctor vocabulary should our listeners know?
Very important vocabulary for the doctor. A symptom is a sign of illness, like a headache or a rash. A diagnosis is when the doctor tells you what is wrong. A prescription is a written order for medicine from the doctor. Medication or medicine is what you take to treat an illness. A dosage is how much medicine you take and how often. Side effects are unwanted effects of a medicine. An appointment is a scheduled time to see the doctor. Emergency room, or A&E, is where you go for serious, sudden illness or injury. And health insurance is a policy that helps pay for medical costs. Useful phrases. I need to make an appointment. Can you recommend a specialist? What is the dosage for this medication? These are all very important to know.
Those medical phrases and vocabulary words are so helpful. Now let's talk about some very common illnesses and health problems in English. A cold is a very common illness. You get a runny nose, sore throat, and mild fever. It usually gets better on its own in about a week. The flu, or influenza, is more serious than a cold. You feel very unwell, have a high fever, body aches, and extreme tiredness. Allergies happen when your immune system overreacts to something harmless, like pollen, pet hair, or certain foods. High blood pressure is very common and can lead to heart disease if untreated. And diabetes is a condition where the body cannot manage blood sugar properly. Mark, what are some important ways to prevent these common illnesses?
Prevention is always better than cure. Here are some key prevention strategies. Washing your hands regularly is one of the simplest and most effective ways to prevent spread of illness. Wash with soap for at least 20 seconds. Getting vaccinated, flu vaccines, COVID vaccines, and other immunizations protect you and the people around you. Eating well and exercising strengthens your immune system so your body can fight off illness more effectively. Getting enough sleep is also crucial for immunity. Avoiding smoking completely, limiting alcohol, managing stress, and having regular health checkups. Visiting your doctor for routine tests even when you feel well can catch problems early before they become serious. Early detection saves lives and makes treatment much more effective.
Prevention is always better than cure, one of the most important sayings in health. Now, let's talk about hydration, because drinking enough water is something many people underestimate. Your body is about 60% water, and every system in your body needs water to function properly. Water helps regulate body temperature, transport nutrients, flush out waste products, and keep your joints lubricated. When you do not drink enough water, you become dehydrated. Signs of dehydration include dark yellow urine, dry mouth, feeling tired, headache, and difficulty concentrating. Most adults should drink about 2 liters or about 8 glasses of water per day. Mark, how do you make sure you drink enough water every day?
Staying hydrated is something I am very intentional about. I keep a large water bottle on my desk at all times. If it is visible, I am much more likely to drink from it. I start every morning by drinking a large glass of water before my coffee. This rehydrates my body after sleep. I also try to eat water-rich foods. Cucumbers, watermelon, tomatoes, and oranges all have high water content. A helpful tip, if you are not used to drinking much water, try adding a slice of lemon, cucumber, or mint to make it more appealing. And pay attention to your body's signals. By the time you feel thirsty, you are already slightly dehydrated. Drink water regularly throughout the day, not just when thirsty.
Drink before you feel thirsty. Such useful advice. Now, let's do a short quiz for our listeners. I will describe a health situation, and Mark will tell us what we should do. Situation 1. You have a mild cold, a runny nose, slight sore throat, and you feel a little tired. You do not have a high fever. What should you do? Think about it, listeners. Should you go to the emergency room, stay home and rest, or take strong medicine immediately? Mark, what do you think is the right answer and why?
For a mild cold, the best thing to do is stay home and rest. A mild cold is caused by a virus, and antibiotics, medicine for bacterial infections, do not work against viruses. The best treatment is rest, plenty of fluids, and some simple relief like honey and lemon tea or paracetamol for discomfort. You should also avoid going to work or school if possible, not just for your own recovery, but also to avoid spreading the cold to others. Drink lots of water and warm liquids. Eat nutritious food to support your immune system. Most mild colds resolve on their own within 7 to 10 days. You only need to see a doctor if symptoms are very severe, last more than 10 days, or you develop a high fever.
Perfect answer. Rest, fluids, and time, the best treatment for a mild cold. Now let's move to situation 2. You've had a very high fever, above 39 degrees Celsius, for 3 days, along with severe body aches and extreme tiredness. This sounds like it could be the flu. What should you do in this situation? Listeners, think about whether you should stay home, call your doctor, or go to an emergency room. The high fever and how long it has lasted are important details here. Mark, what is the right advice for someone experiencing these more serious symptoms?
With a high fever above 39 degrees Celsius for 3 days, you should definitely contact your doctor. This is more serious than a common cold. Your doctor may recommend antiviral medication for flu if you are in a high-risk group. For example, elderly people, young children, pregnant women, or people with chronic health conditions. You should still rest, drink plenty of fluids, and take appropriate fever-reducing medicine. Watch for warning signs that mean you need emergency help: difficulty breathing, chest pain, confusion, or very severe headache. If you have these symptoms, go to the emergency room immediately. And remember, next year, get your flu vaccine. Vaccination is the best protection against serious influenza and its complications. Stay safe and know when to seek help.
Knowing when to see a doctor versus when to rest at home is such a valuable skill. Now let's talk about the importance of regular health checkups or preventative care. Many serious diseases can be caught early through regular tests and screenings when they're much easier to treat. For example, a blood pressure check can detect high blood pressure early, before it causes a heart attack or stroke. A blood sugar test can detect prediabetes when you can still reverse the condition through diet and lifestyle changes. Cancer screenings like mammograms, cervical smear tests, and colonoscopies can detect cancer at an early and treatable stage. Mark, how often do you think people should have health checkups?
Regular health checkups are really important. How often you need them depends on your age, health history, and risk factors. Generally, adults should have a basic health check, including blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, and weight, at least once a year. Dental checkups are recommended every 6 months. Eye tests are recommended every 1 to 2 years. For specific cancer screenings, doctors usually recommend them from a certain age. For example, regular mammograms for women from around 50 years old, and colonoscopies from around 50 as well. The most important thing is to know your family health history. If your parents or grandparents had certain conditions, you may be at risk higher. Regular checkups and open communication with your doctor are your best tools for long-term health.
Family health history is such an important point. Now let's talk about some healthy habits that are easy to start and make a big difference over time. Habit 1, drink a glass of water first thing every morning. Habit 2, take a short walk every day, even 15 minutes helps. Habit 3, eat at least 1 piece of fruit or 1 serving of vegetables with every meal. Habit 4, go to bed at the same time every night to regulate your sleep. Habit 5, wash your hands before eating and after using the bathroom. And habit 6, take the stairs instead of the lift or elevator whenever possible. These are all small, simple habits, but together they make a significant difference. Mark, what healthy habits do you practice daily?
I practice most of the habits you mentioned. A few more I would add for my personal routine. Every morning, I do 5 minutes of light stretching. It wakes up my body and reduces muscle stiffness. I take a few deep breaths whenever I feel stressed during the day. Just 3 slow, deep breaths can significantly reduce tension. I try to eat lunch away from my computer. Stepping away from screens for meals is good for both digestion and mental rest. I limit my coffee to 1 or 2 cups per day and switch to herbal tea in the afternoon. And every evening, I write down 3 good things that happened that day. This simple gratitude practice has genuinely improved my overall mood and sense of well-being over time.
Deep breathing and gratitude, such simple but powerful practices. Now let's talk about something many people wonder about: vitamins and supplements. A supplement is a product, usually a tablet, capsule, or powder, that you take to add nutrients to your diet. Common supplements include vitamin D, especially important in countries with little sunshine, vitamin C, popular for supporting the immune system, omega-3 fish oil, good for heart and brain health, probiotics, these are beneficial bacteria that support gut health, iron, important for people who are anemic or do not eat much red meat. Mark, do you take any supplements, and what do you think about the role of supplements in a healthy lifestyle?
I do take a few supplements, but I want to be clear, supplements should not replace a healthy diet. They should supplement or add to an otherwise balanced diet. I take vitamin D every day because I live in a country that does not get a lot of sunshine, especially in winter. Low vitamin D is extremely common in northern countries and can affect mood, bone health, and immunity. I also take a high-quality omega-3 supplement on days when I do not eat fish. My advice: before taking any supplement, speak to a doctor or pharmacist. Some supplements interact with medications or are not appropriate for everyone. Food is always the best source of nutrition, but targeted supplements can fill real gaps in many people's diets.
Supplements should not replace a healthy diet. Such important advice. Now let's talk about the connection between food and mood, because what you eat affects how you feel emotionally and mentally. This field is called nutritional psychiatry. Research shows that people who eat a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins are less likely to experience depression and anxiety compared to people who eat mostly processed and sugary foods. Your gut, your digestive system, contains millions of bacteria that communicate directly with your brain. This is sometimes called the gut-brain connection. A healthy gut supports a healthy mind. Mark, have you ever noticed a connection between what you eat and how you feel emotionally?
Absolutely. The connection between food and mood is something I have noticed very clearly in my own life. When I eat well, plenty of vegetables, whole grains, good protein, and lots of water, I feel focused, energetic, and positive. When I eat poorly, too much sugar, processed food, or skip meals, I notice a clear difference within just a day or two. I feel more irritable, foggy in my thinking, and generally less happy. The biggest change I noticed was when I reduced sugar in my diet. Initially, I craved it a lot, but after a couple of weeks without much sugar, my energy became much more stable throughout the day, no more sudden crashes in the afternoon. Food really is medicine for the body and the mind.
Food is medicine. What a powerful way to think about eating. Now let's do one more quiz. I will describe a person's typical daily habits, and Mark will tell us what is good and what could be improved. Here's the description. Sarah is 30 years old. She wakes up at 7 and immediately checks her phone for 1 hour. She skips breakfast and has a large coffee. She sits at her desk all day without breaks. She eats a sandwich for lunch while working. After work, she goes home and has a ready meal for dinner. She watches television until midnight and sleeps for 6 hours. She does not exercise. She feels tired and stressed most of the time. Mark, what health advice would you give Sarah?
Sarah has several habits that are affecting her health significantly. Let me go through them. Checking her phone immediately on waking increases stress before the day even starts. A better start is light stretching and a glass of water. Skipping breakfast leads to low energy and overeating later. Having a proper breakfast would help. Sitting all day is dangerous. She should set a reminder to stand up and move for 5 minutes every hour. Eating while working prevents mindful eating and increases stress. She should take a real lunch break. Ready meals for dinner are often high in salt and low in nutrients. Simple home cooking would be much better. Watching television until midnight is disrupting her sleep. 6 hours of sleep is not enough for most adults. And daily movement, even a short walk, would transform her energy and mood.
Wow, every single one of Sarah's habits needs improvement. But the encouraging thing is that she does not need to change everything at once. Even changing one or two habits can make a noticeable difference. Now I want to share some very useful vocabulary for talking about health and fitness in English. Here are some important words. Cardiovascular, relating to the heart and blood vessels. For example, running is great for cardiovascular health. Immunity, your body's ability to fight disease. Flexibility, how far your body can bend and stretch. Stamina, the ability to exercise for a long time without tiring. BMI, body mass index, a measure of body weight relative to height. And wellness, a general state of good health and positive lifestyle. Mark, can you add a few more health vocabulary words?
More useful health vocabulary. Metabolism, the process by which your body converts food into energy. A fast metabolism means your body burns energy quickly. Chronic, lasting a long time. A chronic condition is one that continues for months or years, like diabetes or asthma. Acute, sudden and severe, but not usually lasting long, like an acute infection. Inflammation, the body's natural response to injury or infection, redness, swelling, and heat. Antioxidants, substances found in fruits and vegetables that protect cells from damage. Hydration, the process of maintaining the right amount of water in your body. Sedentary, describing a lifestyle with very little physical activity. And longevity, living a long, healthy life. These words will help you read and understand health articles in English with much more confidence.
Those vocabulary words are excellent. Now let's talk about something very current and important, the difference between reliable health information and misinformation. Today, the internet is full of health advice, but not all of it is accurate or trustworthy. Some websites and social media posts spread false health information, sometimes called fake news in the health context. For example, claims that certain foods cure serious diseases, or that vaccines cause harm, or that miracle supplements can make you lose weight without effort. These claims are not supported by science. Mark, how can people identify reliable health information? How do you know if something you read about health is true?
Identifying reliable health information is a really important skill. Here are some guidelines. First, check the source. Reliable health information comes from established medical organizations like the World Health Organization, government health departments, or university research institutions. Second, look for evidence. Good health advice is based on multiple scientific studies, not just one person's experience. Third, be skeptical of extreme claims. If something promises miraculous results with no effort, it is probably not true. Fourth, check the date. Health research evolves, so look for recent information. Fifth, consult a real doctor or pharmacist for personal health questions, rather than relying on internet searches alone. And sixth, be especially careful about health advice on social media. Always verify before you believe or share it.
Verify before you believe or share it. Such important advice for the digital age. Now let's talk about something positive, the role of happiness and positive emotions in physical health. Research shows that positive emotions like joy, gratitude, and love actually have measurable benefits for physical health. People who report higher levels of happiness tend to have stronger immune systems, lower blood pressure, and live longer than people who experience chronic stress and negative emotions. Laughter has genuine health benefits. It reduces stress hormones, relaxes muscles, and boosts the immune system. This is sometimes called the mind-body connection. Mark, do you believe that being happy makes you physically healthier?
I absolutely believe in the mind-body connection. The research on this is really compelling. Studies show that optimistic people, those who generally expect positive outcomes, have better cardiovascular health and recover from illness more quickly than pessimistic people. Chronic stress and negative emotions increase cortisol and other stress hormones, which damage the immune system and contribute to inflammation in the body.
On the other hand, laughter, strong social connections, and feelings of purpose and meaning in life have measurable protective effects on physical health. I think this means that investing in your happiness, nurturing your relationships, finding purpose, practicing gratitude, and having fun is genuinely a form of healthcare. Health truly is holistic, body and mind together.
Health is holistic, body and mind together. What a perfect summary. Now, let's give our listeners some final health tips before we wrap up. Tip 1. Eat more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean protein. Limit processed food, sugar, and alcohol. Tip 2. Move your body every day. Aim for 30 minutes of moderate exercise 5 days a week. Tip 3. Sleep 7 to 9 hours per night. Create a good sleep routine. Tip 4. Drink enough water, at least 8 glasses a day. Tip 5. Take care of your mental health. Connect with people, manage stress, and seek help if you need it. Tip 6. Have regular health checkups. Mark, can you add the final tips?
Continuing the tips. Tip 7. Do not smoke. If you currently smoke, seek help to stop. It is one of the best health decisions you will ever make. Tip 8. Limit alcohol. The safest amount is as little as possible. Tip 9. Wash your hands regularly to prevent illness. Tip 10. Know your body. Pay attention to changes and see a doctor if something doesn't feel right. Tip 11. Get vaccinated. Vaccines protect you and the people around you. And tip 12, be patient with yourself. Good health is built through consistent daily habits over time. Small improvements made consistently lead to remarkable results. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to keep making small positive choices every day. Your health is worth it.
What a wonderful and comprehensive episode. I hope every listener feels inspired to make at least one positive change for their health after today. Let me give a final summary. We talked about what health means: physical, mental, and social well-being. We discussed healthy eating and hydration. We covered exercise, sleep, and mental health. We learned useful phrases for talking to a doctor and describing symptoms. We talked about common illnesses, prevention, and regular checkups. We discussed supplements, the food-mood connection, and how to identify reliable health information. We did some fun quizzes and built lots of useful vocabulary. Health is your greatest asset. Take care of it every single day. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.
Thank you so much, Anna. This was one of our best and most important episodes. And a huge thank you to every wonderful listener who spent this time with us. Remember, your health is the foundation of everything you do. When you are healthy, you have energy, clarity, and the ability to enjoy life fully. The good news is that small, consistent, healthy habits, drinking more water, sleeping better, moving a little more, and eating more vegetables add up to a big positive difference over time. Do not try to change everything at once. Start with one small thing today. And use the English vocabulary and phrases from today's episode to talk about health with confidence. Take great care of yourselves. Be kind to your body and mind, and goodbye, everyone.